What we covered last week is we kind of went through and we started building, well, we kind of finished out the process of building out our webinar registration funnel. So in the very first session, we went through and talked about how, our core audience was going to be yoga, just as an example, business. We wanted to help yoga studio owners build out profitable marketing campaigns using funnels. And that was going to be kind of our system. That was our product. We were going to create a course around that. And so in order to deliver that, we were going to deliver a perfect webinar presentation where we sold a $997 course. And the goal is to take that from a live webinar to an automated webinar where we can sell about 3 copies of that per day. So we can kind of hit that 7-figure business milestone, that $1 million a year milestone. So we started 2 sessions ago, we started building out that webinar registration funnel. And last week we finished up building that out. And we also built out the replay page, the order form, the order confirmation page. And so the next kind of step in the logical progression of that is that we want to build out the membership area where we're actually going to deliver the content. So obviously, the plan would be here that you've already built out the course. You could deliver it live, kind of like what we're doing here, where each week we deliver a new module live, and then they get loaded into the membership area. That's one way to go. Or if you want to pre-record all the trainings, you could do that, get them all loaded, load them into a video hosting software like Wistia or Vimeo, or even YouTube if you wanted to, which is what we're doing here. And then load those into the membership area. And then have everything available as soon as they sign up. You can also drip feed those out through membership settings. There's a ton of different ways to go to set up your membership areas, but that's what we're going to work on today. And in the process of doing that, we'll also need to create products, because last week we created the order form, but we didn't actually create any products that are being sold. So we want to do that. We want to be able to create those products. Because we need to be able to sell the products, because the product purchase is actually going to control the access to the membership area itself. So we'll set that up, set those products up. And I think it would probably be good to offer a payment plan. So a one-time pay product and then a payment plan product. Those things are always good to have if you're in an audience where budget might be a sensitive issue. If price objections might be a #1 objection, then you can handle that by making your product more affordable versus making it less expensive. So that's something that I always like to tell people, is that it's not always about the overall cost of the product that keeps people from buying. It might just be about the affordability, that, hey, I can't afford to pay you $1,000 today. Kind of like the old Wimpy and the Popeye cartoons, right? I'd gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. I'd gladly pay you $300 a month or $400 a month over the next 3 months versus paying you $1,000 today. That I can afford, and I see the value in this. But I just can't afford to give you $1,000 today. So anywhere where you're with an audience that where price might be a big objection, then being able to offer some sort of a payment plan is a good thing. So we'll go through and we'll set that up as well. And then we'll set up the membership area. And so I think the thing we'll want to do is, because in order to set up the product, you're going to connect to a product thank you page. And thank you page in this case is going to be our membership area. So we at least want to create the bones of the membership area first, and then we'll create the product and attach that product to the membership area. So this is our funnel we have for our Yoga Funnel Secrets product. And we've got, in this one is our webinar registration, our confirmation replay page, and then our order form and our order confirmation. I created those all in one funnel. What I do like to do though, with membership areas, is to put them into their own funnel. So that's really the only thing that's going in there. And the big reason for that is because ClickFunnels has this weird little thing that I'm not a huge fan of, but it's just the way that it works, that every time a member gets added to your membership area, then the membership area gets updated. The funnel that membership area is in is flagged as updated. And the way that funnels get sorted in your list of funnels is by which one was most recently updated. So a lot of times you'll notice, you go in and log into your funnels, and you'll see funnels that have membership areas. If you've got people actively coming in on a regular basis, those funnels will keep getting bumped up to the top like they were updated recently, even though you've not made any changes to them. And I like to not see that as part of an order form funnel. I want to see that as part of just a membership. I know this is the membership funnel. I know that's going to happen, no big deal. But if I want to be able to find my order forms, I want to kind of have an idea when it was last changed. So I kind of like to separate those things out. So let's go ahead and jump in and create a new funnel that's going to house our membership area for this Yoga Funnel Secrets product. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm going to go in and build a new funnel. And we're going to go and just do the classic funnel builder here. And we're going to, in this case, just create a custom funnel. And we're going to call this Yoga Funnel Secrets Members. And then we're going to put this in our CF Code Lab. I'm going to do this. There we go. And we'll go ahead and build our funnel out. So this should give us a funnel with, I don't remember for sure on the custom one if it has a single page. Yes, it has a single opt-in page. So really all we need here is a membership area page and a membership access page. So we'll go ahead and start with the membership access. And that's simple. It's just under the membership. We'll go to membership access or member access. And then you can pick out which one kind of works for you, whether you want to have, really, it doesn't matter. You can build it out to have whatever you want, but it's kind of nice to start off one that kind of goes in the structure that you're looking for. I tend to use this simple flat login for members areas. I think if you were to look, you would see that this is the one that's the CF Code Lab membership area is based upon. You can also use one if you wanted to have a video kind of intro. This would be more, for one where maybe people coming in, you might have a free membership area and you want to have a video that introduces them to why they're here. Somebody might send them directly to this sign up. It's like, hey, you get access to this free content. Just create your account on the left, put in your name and email address, and we'll go ahead and create your account. You'll get in, you'll get all the stuff. So having a little intro video is good there, but you could also use that and you could use something like this narrow with a video up at the top. You could do that. There's a bunch of different ways to go. Really the thought about having a video on these pages is, do I need to explain to my customers what they need to do? Did I do a good enough job explaining to them what they need to do in my email sequence? And on my thank you page when they purchase the product? If you've got a video on the thank you page where they purchase the product that explains exactly what's going to happen next and what they need to do, then you might not need that video on this member registration page, because this is where they're going to register for an account. This is what they'll see when they go in to create their account the first time, as well as what they'll see each time when they come to log back in. So a lot of times you're not going to want that. You're not going to want them to see this video every time they come to log in. So we're just going to pick this simple flat login. We're just going to do a good job on our thank you page of explaining this is what happens when you, hey, thanks for your purchase. You made a super smart decision. The next step is to create your membership account. In order to do that, just click the big old button down below, enter your name and email address. Make sure you use the same email address that you used when you purchased, and you'll get access to all the amazing content. So we're going to go ahead and do that on our thank you page for the order, our confirmation page, and then we'll send them to this page. So we've got a membership access page. Not quite sure what's going on with the screenshot tool. This is a behind the scenes service that ClickFunnels uses to grab these screenshots. So I'm guessing that there's something broken with that today. So we'll just go ahead and move on with that. But we're going to go ahead and add a new step now, because we know we're also going to need a membership area page. Well, actually, let's do this. Because this started out as an opt-in page, it's got the title of opt-in. We've now changed it to a membership access. So obviously it's not an opt-in anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and change that title, because I don't like that. I want to be able to kind of match up. It's also going to change the path to something opt-in. So we're going to call this member access. And I'm just going to replace the opt-in piece with member access. And we'll keep the random string at the end. We're going to update that funnel step. And then we'll also want to do the same thing down here, because this page also picks up those things. So we're going to call this one member access. Oh, put my hands on the wrong keys there. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to get rid of this opt-in, and we're just going to call this member access and leave the random string. And so we've got that going. And so now we've got our URLs are more friendly, they're member access. And now we'll add a new step, and we're going to call this member area. And we can go ahead and give it a path right here. And yes, we want to show it in the funnel. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll create our page here, and then we'll want to pick from the membership, and we'll pick membership area. And again, you've got some options here to pick from. You can really build this out to be whatever you want, but these work pretty well. And so it's just kind of picking which one matches most of the structure you want to have. You got ones that kind of have a little style up the top where they kind of bleed into the overhead. You've got a gray and then a dark green. I'm not a big fan of this list hacking one. This has been a little overdone. We've got the simple membership. This one works pretty well. And honestly, I think this might be the one that CF Code Lab is built upon. And they've also got a clean members area. Actually, it might be this one. I don't remember 100% off the top of my head, but we'll just pick this simple membership. And we'll use that one to start off on. And then we'll see how we can modify these things to work for whatever we want. And this is what we'll end up with. So now we have a membership area, we got a membership access page, and we've got our first lesson. That's really all we need to get done what we need to do. We just need to have these pages built so that when we go in to create our products, we have a page to link to. We have a thank you page that we can connect to. So when we're creating the product, we call that our thank you page. And we want that to go to the actual membership area. So we've got that funnel built out. Let's go ahead and now go back into our order funnel. And we'll go ahead and pull that back up. And so we've got, that's our members area. Oh, I put it in the wrong product group. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick. Let's go to our settings for this funnel. And I put it in CFCL. I usually abbreviate these things, but evidently I did not do that before, CF Code Lab. So it wasn't in the same group. So we kind of want to keep these things tagged together. So let's go ahead and click Save and Update. One other point real quick while we're in here is the reason, another reason that I like to have these things in their own area is because you could create multiple funnels, and in a lot of cases you'll want to test out different things. You might have different versions of your webinar running. You've got your live webinar, you've got your auto webinar. You might have those go with their own order forms. They might have their own products, but they all point to the same members area. And I've done this with CF Pro Tools in the past where I started out with one funnel and then I decided, hey, I really want to update this process. I want to change everything about it. I want to change the order form. I have to recreate the products and all that. But I still want to have just a single members area. So I still have the members area for CF Pro Tools in the original funnel, even though I have a brand new funnel that does the selling. So I've got multiple funnels that point to the same members area. So I like to kind of separate out the members area, put it in its own funnel, and then all the different order forms you might have, all the places where you might sell that product, even if that, and if your product, is coming in as an upsell on another smaller front end, then you can use an OTO and point that OTO to the same members area. You could have it be a front end product and where it's got, its own sales page and its own order form and it's its own product, stands alone there on an order form, and link that in. So we'll show you when we get into the creating the content, how you can control access to that content using those different products. And you'll want to set that up. So you might, every time you create a product that might want access to this members area, you just attach it there. So it's a little easier just to keep track of everything. It's all in one place and it's in its own funnel. You don't have to remember, oh yeah, it's in that funnel I built 3 years ago with the order form. That's where my members area is at. And now I got to point everything there. It's just one place. So another reason I kind of like to keep them separated out. Okay, so now we should see these two funnels grouped together in the CF Code Lab group. There we go. And so we're going to go into the Yoga Funnel Secrets Live funnel. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my notifications because it always seems that, there we go. I'm going to turn off Do Not Disturb. There we go. I always start getting notifications, text messages and whatnot while we're recording live, and I hate that. So we'll shut that stuff off. Okay, so now we're in here. We're in our order form. This is where we're going to create our product. Our first product is going to attach and give people access to that members area. We didn't create any products yet, so I'm going to open that up in a new tab, and we'll go and take a look at our products. And so we need to add a product to this order form. We haven't done that yet. And that product, we're actually going to create a couple of products, and those products are going to attach to the members area. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to first create my one-time purchase product, my full price product. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, before we do this, I think let's go ahead and put this funnel into test mode, Stripe test mode. So we're going to do Stripe test. There we go. And then let's go ahead and save this funnel. Okay, and now we'll go back to our order form page. There we go. And now we've got this in Stripe test mode. That doesn't really matter for creating the products. I just always like to remember it. So when I get ready to test, it's already there. So we're going to create a one-time product. We're going to go ahead and click Save and Next. We've got Stripe selected here. And we're just going to call this yoga funnel. And we'll just call this one Yoga Funnel Secrets. Set a price of $997. And that's all we really need here. You could, in your product description, this is what, if you're selling just one thing, this is what will show up on the credit card charge. So we could do this as Yoga Funnel Secrets. There is a text limit here. I believe it's around 22 characters, if I remember correctly, of what will actually show on the credit card charge. So you don't want to get super verbose here. I think ClickFunnels allow it to be longer, but the credit card companies will actually only show a fixed number of characters. I believe it is 22 characters. So we can go ahead and put that in there. And then we can click Save and Next. And then this next step is where we're actually going to create and attach to our membership area. One of the unfortunate things that's happened recently is ClickFunnels, when they switch to this new product workflow, where the actual product creation is in several different pages, where before it used to be a pop-up box and you would create it all in one shot and then click Save. Now it's in several stages. So automatically now you get a random page built down here, a random thank you page that we don't really need because we're not going to use this. So I used to always say, create your thank you page first, and then, give it a template so you can pick it. But now that doesn't really matter because they automatically create a blank random thank you page. So that's kind of unfortunate. I would love to get the engineering team to get that fixed, but as of right now, it automatically creates this random page. So that's something we'll go back and clean up later. It just takes up your page count, and it's really just cruft. What we do want to do is it's kind of nice, especially if it's just this is one thing you're selling in this funnel, which is the case here. We're not selling a bunch of stuff. We don't have a bunch of OTOs. We've got one product that we're selling. It's a $997 product. We don't want to do a bunch of upsells on that. So we have one product. So it's nice to use this product fulfillment email. We know this is going to go out whenever this product is purchased. We have this fulfillment email. And we can see here that this product thank you page merge tag, this is what it's called, a merge tag. So if you were to look into ClickFunnels Help and look at merge tag or do a search on merge tag, you'd find all the different merge tags that you can put into your emails. You can do things like first name, last name, email address, CFUV ID. There's a bunch of things that you can insert into your email content with these hashtag merge tags. So we'd want to put something in here that says, hey, thanks so much for purchasing, just kind of what it says here. Thanks so much for purchasing Yoga Funnel Secrets. We know you're going to love the content. Here's what to expect. Here's what you need to do next. You need to first go and create your members account. That'll get you access to all the content. And then we'll give them a link to actually go and access that. That's what this product thank you page is. It gives them a link to go and click to get access to the membership area. You can also put this inside of a text. So we could say, something like, and this is what I do with CF Pro Tools, is click here to create your account. So we have that, and then we can actually copy this merge tag right here. I'm gonna copy that, and then we can go and highlight this and then put an anchor on it. So we wanna do insert link, and then the URL is gonna be our product thank you page merge tag, and click confirm. And now our text up above is gonna be a link that has the URL that we had set, whatever URL we set for based on this thank you page here. So if we click the select thank you page, then it's gonna, the first ones that pull up should be from the funnel that we're in. So it's any thank you page. So in this case, it's a webinar confirmation page, is a thank you page type, and it's in our Yoga Funnel Secrets live funnel. But our last updated one also is this Yoga Funnel Secret members. And this is a members area. So anywhere we have a members area, we can also use it as a thank you page. So we're gonna click members area, and that's gonna be our thank you page. So now that link is automatically gonna get set up with a link to create your account for your members area. So we're gonna go ahead and click save and next. And that email is going to get sent out when anybody purchases that. Your follow-up actions, you could also set these up. We'll go into these in another session, but this is where if you trigger this and you've got the $297 plan, if you got the full suite, then you've got different things that you can do. You can set up an integration. I don't really have well, you could set up Actionetics would probably be the one that you would be most likely to use. You can add this buyer to a list, which I would recommend, and we'll go through that in the follow-up funnels session, what you want to do here. You could add tags. You could do a bunch of different things. So I like to add buyers to a buyer's list, so you know that they've purchased this product, and then they stay on that buyer's list. But you could also add a tag. You could send an email notification, say to yourself that, hey, I want to receive a notification that somebody bought this product, and you could remove them from a list. So say you've gone through and they were on a non-buyer list and now they bought something, you want to remove them from the non-buyers list. You could do a bunch of those stuff. Really, the thing that I would most recommend is you're going to add them to a list of buyers. You might have a follow-up funnel attached to that buyers list that removes them from the non-buyers list. But adding it, that's the most common one, is to add them to a list. So, but we're not going to do that today because we'll go through that in a separate session. But that's kind of what you get with these follow-up actions. And then the next step is shipping. Obviously, we don't have any shipping on this one. So we don't have to worry about that. But if you were doing physical products, e-commerce funnels, and we'll run through and set some of those up in future sessions as well, then we'll go through things like shipping integrations and how to use those to push things over to ShipStation or Shopify. And we'll go through that, but we don't need one today. The next step is the affiliates. If you've got the full suite, then you're going to have this affiliates tab. And the question is, do you want to provide an affiliate commission for this? I always like to turn this off initially when I'm first creating a product, because you probably don't have everything set up yet to actually support an affiliate program, even if you're going to offer it. So I like to turn it off until I'm absolutely ready to do that. Otherwise, if you do have an affiliate program, like I do for CF Pro Tools, then this might show up randomly in the dashboard, and that might cause some issues. And we don't want that to happen. So I just always turn this off and make sure that's done. And then we save that. It is on by default. I like to turn it off and then save it. And so now we've kind of got this basic setup. Here's what you have. Here's your product. Here's your price. It's not a bump. And there's no quantity limiters, and here's the follow-up email that's going to go out. And then we can just click return to product list. And then the next one we want to create is actually the 3Pay. And so let's just do some quick math here. We've got a one-time purchase. So I'm going to pull up my calculator. Here, let me see if I can actually just do this on screen. So, of course, I can't see what I need to see because my windows are in the way here. Let's throw the chat up there. There we go. And we'll pull up our calculator. There we go. So we get a $9.97 product, and say we want to do a 3Pay. So let's just do a quick 3Pay, and that would be $332. So in this case, you're probably not going to say, hey, I'm going to, 3 pays, you're going to split it even. I like to add a little bit to that to make it so it's still more appealing to buy the one time. People that are price conscious will pick the one time. They'd rather spend less money immediately than they would pay more money over time. And that's obviously the biggest benefit to you, right? Is that you make sure that you get all your money up front. You don't have to worry about, well, what's going to happen if they don't make the next 2 payments or the next 3 payments or 6 payments or whatever. I'm getting it all up front. So I always prefer a one-time payment for larger ticket items. That way you don't have to worry about that stuff. But if you're in an audience where you need to offer some sort of a payment plan because affordability might be an issue, then I like to give them the option to pay over time, but make it cost a little bit more overall by the time they make all the payments. So in this case, I'd say something like 3 payments of, you could do something like $347 or even $397. So if we were to do 3 payments of $397 times 3, that's really $1191 versus $997. So they're paying a little extra to get that benefit of paying over time. We could also do, $347 if that seems like a little bit too much extra. You could do $347 times 3, and that's $1041. It's an extra, a little less than $50 to pay over time. So you just have to make that kind of personal decision. Is like, okay, do I want to, how do I want this to come across? Is that I'm trying to gouge them a little bit for paying over time? You want to find that kind of sweet spot that people feel like, okay, that's reasonable that I'd have to pay a little bit extra to pay over time, but it's not so much extra that it seems out of the ordinary just to be able to pay over time. So I wouldn't go more than like $397 in this case, but I think that's a reasonable amount, is to do 3 payments of $397. So if we do 3 payments of $397, that's $1191. It's less than $200 more on a, it's less than 20% more, but, to pay over time. But, still some people may look at, well, that's 20% more. I'd rather save the 20%. And that's kind of what we want, right? Is for them to say, well, I'd rather save the 20%, pay once, than pay an extra 20% so that I can pay over time. And if you figure credit card companies, they're going to, some are going to charge as much as 27% interest on your monthly payments if you do that on that amount over time. So you're still less than some credit card companies will charge. So if affordability is an issue, that's a route to go. And you could do, it could be 367 if you wanted to. I want to make it a little bit higher so that they, that's 1101. So that's an extra $100, $104, I guess. So I kind of like that. That seems a little more reasonable. So let's do that. 3 payments of $367. And before I even jump into that, the next thing I need to do is actually we have to create this product in Stripe first, because if we don't create it in Stripe, then we can't connect it in ClickFunnels. So I'm going to open my Stripe account up in another window here, and then we'll pull it over so we can all see. So bear with me just a second while I get into Stripe. And I'm just creating this in my CF Pro Tools account. Okay, so we are in Stripe now, and we are in test mode. I need to shrink this window down just a little bit. Okay, there we go. So we're the first thing we're going to do is we're in test mode now in Stripe. So and you can see that by this little toggle that says viewing test data. So I set this to test mode. So we're all the data we see here is from test orders. And so I obviously made a purchase here of something for $134, probably testing out a funnel in the last week. So this is all test data. What we want to do to create a new product that we can connect to ClickFunnels is we need to actually create a product in Stripe. So we're going to go to the billing tab, and then we're going to go to products. And then in products, we'll see here, we have a bunch of products, a bunch of test products, and I also have some CF Pro Tools products in here. I have the CF Code Lab product in here. So what we want to do is create a new product. And we're just going to call this Yoga Funnel Secrets 3Pay. And we don't need to give it a unit label. We could give it a statement descriptor here, but we don't need to. This is also, we set this on our product in ClickFunnels, so it'll push over that way. So we're just going to leave that blank. We're just going to create a product name, and we're going to go ahead and click Create Product. And I've got to make sure I get my right password in here. It doesn't always, I've got several Stripe accounts, so sometimes it grabs the wrong one. So we'll authenticate so that we can create the product. And now we need to give it a plan nickname. So I'm going to call this, again, Yoga Funnel Secrets. Prepay. I don't like the way that Stripe has kind of moved to this model. It used to be all in one shot. You just created a subscription plan. They broke it out into this product and then payment plan model here, probably 18 months or so ago. So it makes things a little more complicated, but I just like to use the same plan name and product name, because that's usually the case. It's one-to-one. So I usually do that. And then what you can do is set up, what I like to do is actually set up a plan ID here. You don't have to fill this in. It's optional. You can create it. The thing with ClickFunnels, though, is that the plan ID between test mode and live mode has to match exactly, or you will not be able to connect it to ClickFunnels and actually test your purchases. If you only create it in test mode, ClickFunnels is basically, when you're creating that product, they're looking at the funnel, which mode it's in, pulling the plans for that mode. And so you have to make sure the plan exists in both modes so that ClickFunnels, you can test it with test purchases and live purchases. So I like to actually set these IDs up front, but you can let it create one by default and then go grab that ID that gets created randomly and then assign it to the next one, because we're going to create this in test mode first, and then we're going to go create it in live mode. So as long as you use the exact same ID between the two plans in test mode and live mode, then ClickFunnels will be able to connect to it. But I like to set this up in advance. So I'm just going to do Yoga Funnel Secrets 3-pay. So all dashes in there. So yoga-funnel-secrets-3-pay. And that's a recurring quantity. And we set this up in the price per unit. And we said 367 for this, 367. Oh, with this stuff, we want 367. There we go. And it's monthly. And there's no trial period. They're going to pay the $367 immediately, and the customer is going to be subscribed to 1 unit at $367 beginning each month. Yeah. So each month in this case is not the each calendar month; it's the each month of based on when they subscribed. So that's all looking good. And now we just say add pricing plan, and so now we have our product created with our pricing plan created. Now we need to create that same thing in our live mode for Stripe. So I'm just going to toggle this viewing test data off. It's going to tell me there are no products found. There are. We're just going to say click because there's no product yet for this one that we just switched over to. So we're going to click and we're going to do the exact same process now in live mode. And we're going to call this Yoga Funnel Secrets. I think I put a dash in the other one. Doesn't really matter on this page. And we're just going to call this one Yoga Funnel Secrets. I don't think I put a dash in this one. Again, this doesn't really matter. The names don't matter. What matters is the product ID. So I probably would have been smart to actually copy that value and just paste it in here. But I'm going to retype it and hope that I remember exactly what it was. So we've got yoga-funnel-secrets-3-pay. And then we're going to set up the same. It's going to be $367 per month, and we click add pricing plan. Now, if you ever go in and say, oh man, I set this up and I forgot what the ID was, you can actually find the ID of the pricing plan by going to your product, clicking on the pricing plan tab, and then up at the top, it will give you the ID for the pricing plan. So it's this value right here. So if we needed to, and we couldn't remember what it was, or you let one of the Stripe create the ID for the first product or second product, whatever, or the first product you create, you just let Stripe create it for you automatically, then you can just go and copy this value and paste it into the second one. So that's where to find the ID for the pricing plan. This is the one that matters the most, is that this pricing plan ID is the same between both products. So now we have our products created inside of Stripe. And I'm going to move this over to the other window, and then we'll jump back in here. And now we're ready to create our actual pricing plan for our product, right? We want to create our 3-payment plan product. So we're going to go ahead and click, I've messed up already. We need to go back and pick our subscription, or actually a payment plan in this case. So we've got it set to Stripe, and it's a payment plan. And you'll notice that when you change different payment gateways, if you use anything other than Stripe, it might change the options that are available. Subscription, payment plan, one time, these are the options that are available with Stripe. You want to make sure that you pick payment plan in this case, because that's when you're going to get the fields to say how many payments do you want people to make. Because Stripe doesn't support payment plans out of the box. All it is a monthly subscription. ClickFunnels is what's actually going to cancel that payment plan or cancel that subscription after they've made the fixed number of payments. And so in this one, we're going to set up a product name, and we're going to call this Yoga Funnel Secrets. And we'll just put a dash and call this 3-pay. And then we're going to give it a price display override because ClickFunnels doesn't actually set the price here. It's being charged in Stripe. Stripe knows what to charge. ClickFunnels doesn't. So we set the price, and that's what it actually says here. The amount for this product is managed in your Stripe account, and the currency is also managed in the Stripe account. So you can't set those in ClickFunnels because Stripe is the product we're attaching to. So whatever you set as the price to charge is in Stripe is what's going to be charged. But we do need to let the customer know what it's going to be charged. So we're going to say $367 per month for 3 months. And you could also do, $367 a month. You could do something like times 3 payments, something like that. But you just want to kind of let them know what it is they're paying here. And then we want to pick our Stripe plan. And because ClickFunnels is now connected to my Stripe account, it's gone out and said, hey, grab all the plans for this account. And you can see that I've got one of the plans that are the most recent plan created is going to show at the top. And that's my Yoga Funnel Secrets 3-pay. So I just need to pick that Stripe plan. And then I need to say the number of payments, and we want to set 3 payments. And then again, no product quantity limit needed in this one. And so we're going to save that. And now we're on our email tab again. And this one, again, another thank you page has been created because we created a new product. So now we'll have 2, which is unfortunate, but that's the way it is. But we do want to go ahead and create and select this to go to our same members area. So it's going to go to the Yoga Funnel Secrets members area. And then let's go ahead and make that same edit to our email that gets sent out here. And we're going to say, click here to create your account. And then we're going to let's go ahead and highlight this and copy it so we know the merge tag. And then go ahead and insert link. And then I'm just going to paste that merge tag in there. And now that's the URL of my link. And now I can get rid of this. Obviously, you'd want to add more to this email than just this, but we'll save the time here and just leave it at that. And so now we've got our email created and it's attached to our members area so that the customer will go there. We're going to go ahead and click Save and Next. And we don't need to do any follow-up actions now, so we'll go ahead and Save and Next. And we don't have any shipping, so we can do Save and Next. You don't have to you can click on the tabs up above, but we do want to turn off the affiliates. So we're going to click Save and Next there. And then we'll get our summary that tells us that, yep, this is all set up. It's a number of planned payments is 3. And we've got our price override. We don't have a product description, and we've got our email set up. So now we can return to our product list. And so now we've got our 2 products set up. These are the 2 ways we're allowing people to pay. They're paying $997 once, or they're going to pay $367 a month for 3 months. So we've got those 2 products set up, and we've got them connected to our membership area. So now, because we have this funnel in test mode, now we can actually go in, and if we want to do a purchase, we can actually test the purchase. So let's go to our overview here, and we'll get our funnel URL. So this is the URL for our order form. And I would want to make this something like yogafunnelsecrets.com/go or yogafunnelsecrets.com/start or something like that. That's easy to say, that's easy to spell, that you can say in the webinar to get people to. We'll worry about that later, but that's what I would do is I would set this to something super simple that's unique for the domain, something like go or start. And so, but for now, we're just going to test out our order form. We're going to open this up in a new incognito window, and we're going to paste this in. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's update our order confirmation page first, because we want to link that to the actual membership area. So we'll go ahead and click Edit Page here. And so the other thing that's important to note on this one is that this link right here, this click here to access purchase link, is tied directly also to the product thank you page that you set for the product. So because we set that to the members area, this link is also going to link to that same thing that's in the email that gets sent out. So this is the other place where a link that is generated by that product thank you page merge tag, that page that we connected our product to, is also linked here. And so that's our thank you page. Now, if you were using something like say a digital downloadable product or something like that, then you could set up a separate thank you page for each one of those products. Say you had, 2 things, your core product was a digital download and your bump was a digital download, and you wanted somebody to be able to go to individual pages to download those things. Then you could set different product thank you pages that each go to different download pages. I don't recommend that. I'd recommend at that point, set up a members area, create your download lessons in there, and use that to deliver your content. But you have that option to use thank you pages. So that's kind of why the product thank you page is important. That's why it's there in the first place. It was intended for this, the first round of ClickFunnels was to deliver information products, right? Electronic products. It didn't even have membership areas at that point. And so it was like, okay, well, we need a way to change this link. So let's attach it somehow to the actual product. And so that's what they did. So that's where this link pulls from. So you'll notice if we click on this, that there's nowhere to actually set what that URL is. Only thing you can set is what the text is for all of the products that will be listed here. In our case, we're only selling one at a time, but in some cases you might be selling a product and a bump, or you might be selling multiple products if you're using, you know, some of the CF Pro Tools add-ons to group products together. But in this case, you don't have the ability to override that link. You set that when you set up your product. So that product thank you page we set on the fulfillment email tab is also what's linked here. So hopefully that all makes sense. So we could create a new button here that also does that, or we can just let people click here to access your purchase. And we could make this say, click here to create your account. We could do something like that, or we can go in and we can create a new row and put a 1-column row, and we can put a big old button on here. And we can go into this button. And we have some new themes in the buttons, which is kind of cool. Not a whole lot. We've got a flat button and a pill button, which is kind of nice. I tend to like this green 3D button, but more for buying, not so much for members area. I tend to use a red button. For whatever reason, I think it's just because it matches my colors, but let's just pick a pill button for now. And then let's really beef this thing up. Let's make this bigger. Here to create your account, and then let's give this some more vertical space. So we'll give that like 20, and then I like to make the font really big and chunky on this one. So we'll make this like, yeah, there we go, something like that. You can make it a little smaller on mobile if you want to. I tend to find that mobile, about 24 pixels, works well for buttons. Sometimes that's actually bigger than what you do on your sales page, I found. Sometimes the mobile buttons, if you want the mobile button to be a little bit bigger so that it's easy to tap with your thumb, you might actually set the font size bigger on mobile than what you do on desktop. So you'll want to test that out by looking at mobile view and see how it comes out. So this one, you know, that's probably about right. It's an easily tappable, but you can kind of play with it here and say, okay, I want this to be, you know, maybe you want it to go on one line. Well, you're probably not going to get it there in this without making it super small. And then it's, you know, that probably still works okay, but I kind of like it bigger, and wrapping the 2 lines is okay. So setting that to 24, that's pretty good. You know, it's a button, you know, it's tappable with your thumb. So that works well. And then we can go back into our desktop. And so, you know, we've got that there, big and chunky, looks good. Sometimes I like to set the text shadow just to play with it. See what it looks like. I want a dark shadow. Makes it kind of pop a little bit. Yeah, could take it or leave it. Not a huge difference, and probably hard to see on the recording. But I like to just play around with those buttons to make them kind of look a little nice. I actually like a little bit more horizontal space as well. And so there's a couple of ways to do that. We can, you know, do it with the horizontal space. That looks nicer to give it a little extra padding. So, you know, the edges here, kind of if you were to take a straight line down from where the corner stops, the text is out there. So that's good. The other thing you can do is set this to fill width, and then go in and adjust the width of your row. So that's one way to do it. So now you can get a bigger button. The thing to keep in mind when you do that, and I do like to do that, but the thing to keep in mind is that also impacts your mobile. Actually, because the mobile is going to override that in this case, which is good, you've got a breakpoint here. So it's going to fill that up, which is good. So I think we're in pretty good shape. So I do like that. It's still good and clickable on mobile, and it's still good here. It's a big chunky button. It's got plenty of space. It's not the full width because it looks a little bit too much, right? If we do this row at 100% width, that's too much. That doesn't look right. But if you shrink this down a little bit, you can make that expand the limits of your horizontal space, which is limited to 40, because again, we were kind of getting that one straight line down here. You know, but you can make it a little bit wider, but it doesn't have to be full width. So that's how I kind of like to do buttons. And then what we want to do is we want to grab our URL for our members area. Let's get the right tab here. We got it open somewhere. There we go. And then so we want to grab, I like to grab for this one, if I'm going to build a button on the thank you page, because this is what people are going to see to create their account. So we can grab this because the link sometimes for the member access, if they've been there before, will not give them the create the account option. If they've, you know, because ClickFunnels likes to say, okay, if this person's been cooked to this members area, they probably already have an account. So I'm going to show them just the login form, versus showing them the create the account form. And we want to make sure that they can create an account here. So I'm going to grab the secret sign up URL, and I'm going to go ahead and throw that in to this button. And I'm going to do it there. And you can open in the same window, or you can open it in a new tab or window. I tend to like to open these in a new tab because that way they still have their purchase page open. So we're going to click save there. And so we're looking good. So now we've got a big old button. I would throw probably on this page, and this one we just kept it super simple, but on this page we'd probably throw in, they just bought a $1,000 product, probably put in a video that says, hey, thanks so much for creating, signing up for Yoga Funnel Secrets. You're gonna love the content. In order to get access to the course, what you need to do is actually go and create a membership account in our membership system. Here's how you do that. Click the button down below. It's going to ask you for a name, email address, and a password, and then it's going to create your account. So you'll have your email address and you'll have a password so you can log in the future. And so go get that done. Make sure you use the same email address that you used when you purchased so that you get access to all the content. That's one that a lot of people tend to forget. I always like to put that on the actual member access page as well. A little note that says, make sure you use the same email that you purchased with, because a lot of people, for whatever reason, will buy with one email, but then want to create a member's account with a different email address. And then they'll never get access, because that's how ClickFunnels knows to connect to that person's purchase, is they look at the purchases on the contact record. Well, if they create a member's account with a different email, that's a different contact, and they won't have that purchase on it. So it's always important to reference that. Actually use within CF Pro Tools for for the free members, the ones that sign up to the free account, I automatically create a member account for them with a special add-on I have built. And that one I'll be rolling out, and we'll probably run through that when we get into the custom JavaScript as things that you can do with custom JavaScript with ClickFunnels to kind of circumvent a little bit of the system. So once that add-on's available, I would highly recommend using that. That way you don't even have to worry about it. It creates a random password. It will email them the random password. I'll show how to set that all up using the merge tag. So you create a random password for them. You use the email that they actually purchased with, so that they get access to the right stuff. And so that makes it kind of nice. But otherwise, make sure that you reference, hey, you need to make sure and use the same email address. So we've got that going. We've got our member access area set up. We've got it linked there. Now let's go in and actually do a test purchase. So we've got our order form pulled up here. Let's go ahead and refresh this. We can see it's in test mode. We've got just a basic two-step order form here. So I can fill this in, can put in, and I'm just going to put in a test email. This is what I like to do when I'm for emails when I'm purchasing, when I'm doing test purchases, is to use a unique email each time. And to do that, I just do Jamie plus, and then most email systems today will ignore whatever's between the plus and the at. So I do 08/17/19. So I do the date in that format, month, day, year. And then I put a sequence number behind it, -1. So this is my first test on this day. And then we'll do @cfprotools.com. And then for the rest of the stuff, for the testing, you can just fill in random numbers. ClickFunnels just looks for these other fields. Email has to be an email. All the other fields are just required. They have to have a value in them. It doesn't matter what that value is. If you were doing testing out shipping or something like that, ShipStation, you probably want to actually put in valid addresses here. But in this case, we're just doing electronic products, no integrations externally, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to fill that in. We'll click go to step 2. Now we have our options here. We have our $9.97 product, and we have our $367 × 3 product. And so we can pick which one we want to purchase. We've got no custom code on this page. I would always recommend using the CF Bestseller highlight on this page from CF Pro Tools. It's in the free add-ons, and it just puts the yellow box around the product that you want to say is the most popular or the best seller, best value, whatever you want to say. I tend to like to use most popular. It's goes more towards the social proof aspect of things to get people to purchase what you want them to purchase, because that's what you're saying everybody else is purchasing. People tend to like to go with things that other people have decided are good decisions. And some people are not like that, but the majority of people will not make a decision unless they feel it's the same decision their peers would make. So by using that social proof as this is my most popular package, then you'll get more people to take that. But in this case, we might want to say something because it is actually a better value to buy the $9.97. Might want to say best value here and highlight that product. And because that's our first product created, that's the one that's going to be selected by default. If you created it second and you wanted it selected by default, then you could add another add-on called CF Select Default that sets the product ID and tells it which product you want to actually have selected by default. We'll worry about that here in a minute, but we're going to do a quick test on this. So if we're going to test, there's a couple ways to do it. You can copy this ID up above and just paste it in here and then put in just any string that's in the future, any month and day that's in the, or I'm sorry, month and year that's in the future. You can do that on the expiration and CVV, any digit. You can do 1, 2, 3 is usually what I do. And then this one has a bump. That's one thing we're not going to have on this funnel. So let's go ahead and turn that off while we're thinking about it here. Oh, got to get in and edit the right page. So let's go ahead and edit this page. That's a setting in the two-step element. So we'll open this page up in the editor. So we'll go into our two-step here and we'll go to settings and then we'll go to step 2. And then we want to show step 2 settings. Actually, I take that back. It's on the advanced tab. The advanced tab is the toggle order bump. We want to hide the order bump. We don't want to show it at all. So now we're seeing step 2 and we're turning off the order bump. So they won't see the order bump at all on step 2, which is great. That's exactly what we want. Otherwise, there's no product to connect to that. There's no bump product. And so they wouldn't see anything. Or they could check it, but it wouldn't actually do anything. So we just want to hide that. So we'll go ahead and refresh our page. And then now let's go to step 2. It's still there. It's still cached a little bit. So sometimes it takes a little bit for the cache to clear. And so let's go to step 2 and now it's gone. Okay, so now we're just buying the $997 product. And again, we can paste in our test credit card number. The other thing you can do, and I've always just done this because I've been testing with Stripe for years. And honestly, this is the same credit card number that's a test across all testing platforms. And that is just a series of 4242. So just as reference, those are things that you can actually test with. Either one of those are test credit card numbers. This one up above is a valid test credit card number, so that will give you a valid purchase. This will also give you a valid purchase. If you're ever interested, you can actually go and do just a Google search for test credit card numbers, Stripe test credit card. And this will take you to Stripe documentation on testing. And what you can actually do is if you go down, they'll give you a whole series of test credit card numbers and tokens. And so the 4242 you can see is listed at the top. That is a test Visa. If you want to test a test MasterCard, it would be this number. This should be an American Express test number here if you wanted to test American Express individually. These are things that you might want to see in Stripe to see are they going to go through, test them with different things. You could test a Diners Club card if you want. So there's all kinds of test credit card numbers here based on what you're set up with in Stripe. Okay, yep, Dan, I will answer that here in just a second. Dan just asked the question in the chat, can you explain the difference between subscription and payment plan? Absolutely. And when you're testing credit card numbers, again, you've got all these different things that you can test with. You can test international cards. You can test, regulatory testing cards. This card requires authentication for one-time payments. This one is probably more for the new, yes, exactly. This is for strong customer authentication. This is a new European law that's going to roll out. I believe the requirement is, I believe it's maybe September of this year. It might be November of this year to allow for this. So ClickFunnels is actually working on an update for this now to allow for this strong customer authentication. It's kind of like a two-factor authentication for European card processors to be able to, if somebody puts in their card, they're making a one-time purchase, that for certain cards that where they might feel a certain level of fraud or a certain level of authentication is required, it will pop up an additional form asking them to enter a two-factor authentication code from their bank. and then they should get a message from the bank to, you know, something like that, that will give them that code, and then they type it in, and then it will let the order process. So these are card numbers that will kind of force that to happen so that you can test that process. And then you've also got 3D Secure Test. ClickFunnels doesn't integrate with this yet, so you can't really test it there. But this is the one that I like to look at as well. If you're looking to test your order forms for specific responses and errors, then you've got these numbers that will tell you, if you use this number, here's what will happen. So charge succeeds, funds will be added directly to your available balance. This is just a normal successful transaction. But if you wanted to test a failure, you know, a non-sufficient funds, then you can look at that and say, okay, so let's see, there should be one here that's insufficient funds. Here's one that's an incorrect number. So this will be declined because you've used the 4242s, but you've ended with a 1. So that'll come back with an incorrect number. You can test for incorrect CVV, incorrect, you can do an expired card. You can do a stolen card. And this one here, this 400 and ends in 9995 is for insufficient funds. So that might be another one that you want to test just to see, hey, what's my order form look like if somebody comes in, tries to purchase, and the card is declined. You could use a few different ones of those. Just something to keep in mind that there are a bunch of different credit card numbers you can use for testing for specific responses. But this is the one I generally use. I just type it in, but you can also just copy this one up here. They're both successful numbers. So that was a little bit of a side event. And so let me answer Dan's question real quick. So how can you explain the difference between subscription and payment plan? Is the setup the same as Stripe? Yes, the setup is actually absolutely the same. And sorry, Dan says the audio is fluctuating again. It might be because I'm putting my hands up in front of my face, so I'll try not to do that. But the process, the setup is exactly the same in Stripe. The only difference is that in ClickFunnels, a payment plan is going to collect a max number of payments, or the total number of payments that you want ClickFunnels to collect, or want Stripe to collect before ClickFunnels cancels the plan. Otherwise, for a subscription product, it will just continue indefinitely until the customer cancels. And so Stripe has no concept of payment plans. They are just going to charge somebody every month, every week, every day, every year, whatever you tell them to charge, they're going to do that indefinitely. No, that is not a recent change in CF. It's been there. The way that it's set up is a slightly, with the new product workflow, is a recent change. But the old subscription product used to, when you were setting up if you want to do a payment plan in ClickFunnels before with the old payment workflow, it would all be a subscription plan, but you would be able to set a max number of payments there. Now they've kind of broken it out and said, okay, we're going to call it payment plan. So it's a little clearer to the customer when you're setting up those that they want to collect that extra piece of information. So they've tried to clarify it a little bit, but the process is exactly the same. Behind the scenes, it's exactly the same. So Stripe setup, you're just creating a subscription plan. In ClickFunnels, you're just saying, collect 3 payments. What happens is that Stripe notifies ClickFunnels every time one of those payments is collected. And then ClickFunnels will receive that and look at the subscription that they're receiving that payment for. And then they'll look at the plan and say, okay, is this having max number of payments on it? And how many payments have been made? And if the payment being collected is the 3rd payment, then they will make another call back to Stripe and say, Stripe, cancel this subscription. And then in ClickFunnels, it'll mark that plan as completed. So that payment, if you go to look at the status of that purchase, it will change from paid to completed, which means that that payment plan has been completed and they've made all the payments. So that's kind of what happens in ClickFunnels is they look for how many payments have been made. Have they reached the max number of payments? If so, call back out to Stripe and cancel their subscription so they don't get charged again. And then in the status for the purchase in ClickFunnels, mark it as completed. So they continue to have access to the members area, but we don't continue to charge them. So that's kind of how subscription plans versus payment plans work in a nutshell. Hopefully that made sense. Did that kind of answer the question, Dan? So yes, it used to be all under subscription. Now it's just it's not in 2 tabs. It's just when you set up the first tab, the question is, are you setting up a subscription, a payment plan, or a one-time product? And then if you select payment plan on that first tab, then they'll collect that additional how many payments on the second tab. The second tab otherwise is entirely the same. They're collecting all the exact same data. There's just one additional field on that tab, which is the max number of payments. In the old system, it was all subscriptions. You're creating a one-time, you're creating a subscription. And there was that same field, that max number of payments was just always visible. They just didn't want to have that be there if somebody's creating a non-ending subscription plan. So they kind of broke that out, and they just hide that field if it's a subscription plan. If it's a payment plan, they show the field. So that's really the only difference. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. And so now we've got this set up. So we've got our expiration date, we've got a CVV, and we're buying this product. So let's go ahead and click complete order. And it should go through it and take us to our order confirmation page. And that's great. We got our big old button. So now we can actually click this, and it's going to open a new tab. It's going to take us to our members account page. And it's going to let us create an account. So here we would want to obviously make sure that we sign and make them, make that note that, hey, you need to use the same email. And so I use the Jamie081719-1 at cfprotools.com. And then set my password. There we go. And click create your account. And then it should take us in, and we should have our first lesson. So this is all working. I can save this if I wanted to, I don't need to. And so, yeah, so this is our membership area. So we've got access to this content right off the bat. So now let's jump back in and take a look at, so this is all functional. So now let's jump back into our actual membership area and look at some of the things that we want to make sure and do. So I'm going to go ahead and close this page out. We don't need the editor for this page anymore. We don't need this page anymore, or this one. Or this one. So we'll close these out, kind of clean some of this stuff up. So this is our members area. Drag these to the right. Okay, so we've got our lessons here. So members areas are broken into, and you guys are probably familiar with this because you're accessing the content in CF Code Lab through a members area. So we've got lesson sections, and then we've got lessons within those sections. And so you can add a new lesson section, or you can add a new lesson. A lesson is going to be part of a lesson section. So we'll click a new one, and we'll just, we're going to create a new lesson section, and we're going to call this module 1. And then the next thing we'll want to do, and this I always recommend that you set, and a lot of people miss this step, and you've probably seen people post on Facebook about, oh man, my members area got hacked, somebody got access to my content, they didn't buy my product, what happened, how can ClickFunnels allow for this, and what's going on? And I've even seen people post and say, hey, I'm going to show you how to hack a ClickFunnels members area. And it's not really hacking the ClickFunnels members area at all. It was designed this way intentionally to have the ability to have free content as well as paid content inside your members area. Now, the problem is that out of the box, all of your content is free content, unless you say specifically, in order to access this, the content within this section, someone needs to have made a purchase, or they need to have a tag. The tag requirements was added. It's been there quite a while. It's probably 18 months or so now, but initially it was just products. Somebody, you could say somebody needs to have purchased this product or one of these products in order to access the content within this section. What that allows you to do is just like I do in CF Pro Tools, and this is why I love this setup, is because you don't have to buy anything to get access to the free sections in CF Pro Tools. But if you want to access the VIP Club content, which is 45 plus add-ons now, you need to have purchased one of the products that I've set up in my funnels that actually sells that VIP Club access. And then I have a few other sections that are selling other products that are bonuses or upgrades. Like I used to sell a product called the Platinum Club, which was a group coaching where I did coaching calls once a month to run through it and do things like this, additional training. And so I sold that when I first rolled things out. And that's a separate lesson section within CF Pro Tools. And so if you had purchased access to that product, you would get access and see that, okay, I get access to this VIP Club content, as well as I get this additional section that is just for the Platinum Club. So in this case, We want module 1 to be controlled by our new Yoga Funnels product, right? So we can say, we can start typing Yoga Funnel Secrets, and it's going to pull up and find us all the products that have that name in it. So we can say, okay, Yoga Funnel Secrets. So they pick if they bought this product. So that's our one-time payment, but we also want to add the Yoga Funnel Secrets 3-pay product. And the nice thing now is that they actually remove, if you've already added one product, it's removed from the list here. So you're not going to add the same thing multiple times because you might have the same product name in multiple different funnels. So you can say, okay, I need to add all the products that are CF Pro Tools. And they'll actually show up under different, so this one's in the Yoga Funnel Secrets live webinar funnel. So you'll have different funnels listed here. So you might have the same product name, but under different funnels. But we're going to go ahead and add both of these products. And that means if somebody's bought one of these products or the other product, then they'll get access to this lesson section. This isn't an or statement. So it's one or the, it's this or this or this or this on down the list. It's not an and. They don't have to have bought both. They have to buy one or the other. The other thing you can do is you can use the tag requirements in combination with the product requirements. This works great when you've got, say, the only people that should have access to this are people that have bought these products. But you might get that case where, hey, I want to do a beta group, or I want to do, I've got a buddy of mine that would love to go through and look at my content, but I don't want to have to buy the products. I don't have to go to his contact. You can manually add a purchase. You can do that too. But you can also do, and just say yoga, we might just do something like YFS all access and create a tag. Oh, I created the wrong tag there. YFS, there we go, all access. And create a tag, and then it will say anybody who has any contact in my system that has the tag YFS all access will get access to this lesson section. And again, this is an or. They bought these products or they have this tag. These aren't ands. They have to have this product and this tag. It's or. So that's, how you secure access to your content. So let's go ahead and create that lesson section. And then Dan asks here, can you manually add a tag to someone's contact profile? Absolutely, you can. So let's do that. If I go in here and I search for Jamie plus 0817, should start to pull me up. So there is my contact record. I'm going to go ahead and open this contact in a new tab. And so here's my contact profile for that email address. And I should see, if I go here and click on purchases, that I've got that purchase already added here. So there's a couple things you can do to give somebody access to a members area. If for some reason they sign up and they didn't get access, there's a few things you can do. You can actually add a product purchase for a product to a contact profile, and they don't actually have to pay for it. So you can click add product purchase. You can select your product. And so you can do Yoga Funnel Secrets here. And then you can say, okay, yep, I want to add the one-time purchase of this. And you can set that and say save. Now I've already bought it, but it's going to add it twice. So now I've got 2 purchases for that. Notice I don't have a transaction ID here because it didn't actually get purchased. I didn't pay for it the second time, but it's there. So you could add that. It could be the 3-pay, could be another product in another funnel or whatever, or you've got a contact that says they bought and you can see, yep, they're in Stripe, they're in this, I got the money, but for some reason it's not in ClickFunnels. You can manually add that. Or you could say, hey, I've got a buddy that I want to get access to my membership area. I just want to add the purchase to them without them actually having to buy it. So you can actually manually create a product for somebody or a purchase for somebody and pick which product. That's one way. The other way is you can set that tag restriction like I had there, and then you can go into the contact profile. So it's the actual contact profile. So the first page we looked at, and then go to general info. The first thing is you can look at tags for somebody. And you can see all the tags on their profile. So we've got tags here. Notice I have no tags at all on this. I just have a tag here. But now I can go to general info for this person, and I can actually go to edit. And when I click edit, one of the fields I'll see here is tags. So in this one, you can see I actually have this. I do this for CF Pro Tools and for VIP Club. If I have somebody that I want to add access to the VIP Club, say somebody manually signed up for you know, maybe I've done a manual charge in Stripe to upgrade them from the monthly to the lifetime plan. They haven't actually made an additional purchase in ClickFunnels, so ClickFunnels hasn't tracked that, but I've just charged them an additional amount in Stripe. So I've collected the money. Now I need to manually add them to get access to the VIP club so it doesn't get removed when their monthly subscription gets canceled. Then I'll set this VIP club manual tag. The other thing, we just added one called YFS. Oh, got to type in there. You can just type in YFS All Access. And then when I scroll down, this is one thing I actually hate about ClickFunnels is the green button at the bottom is archive. Don't ever click this by accident. It actually archives this contact. I hate that it's green. I hate that it's here. This is where I'd expect my submit button to be. But the actual save is way over here and it's gray. Kind of goofy UI, but that's just the way it is. So make sure you click the one over here on the right-hand side. You save that contact, and now they have that tag. So now they'll have access to that content. Can you add a contact without them going through the funnel? So could you then add a product to them? Yes, you actually can now. And let me see, I've not actually done this yet, but this is a new feature that should be rolling out to everyone. I think if you've got Actionetics, I'm not quite sure. This is a new feature. It might not be in here yet. And it might time out on me. We'll see. But there is a way. And I'm trying to remember, this is a very, very new feature, and that might be under import contacts. It actually might be under lists. There is a way now. Let's say if it's under here, to add a contact one by one. Dan, Aaron asked this. Okay, yes, Aaron. Let me look up the answer on this one, and let me do a quick demo video and post it in the group because I've not actually done it yet. But we just made this announcement the other day that there is a new way to add contacts one by one through ClickFunnels directly that has just rolled out. So I've not done it before, so I don't remember exactly where it is to get access to it. But it does exist, and it may not be 100% rolled out to all of our customers yet, but it should be very, very soon if it's not already. Can you add a contact without them going through the funnel? So you could then add a product to them. Yes, only with Actionetics. So yes. The reason I asked is because I have a client who has sold her program before we built out her membership area. Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, that doesn't matter whether the membership area was built out before. If you can still, products that were purchased before the membership area was built, you still do the same thing. You just add which product they purchased. So if they purchased a product through ClickFunnels, you can still do the product restrictions. Oh, she didn't collect the payment through CF. Yeah. So in that case, absolutely. You could just manually add the tag, or you could manually add the purchase in ClickFunnels. Either way will work. And you can also, there is a new way to manually add them to ClickFunnels. You could also, if you have a list of people that say you can export from their payment system. So say you collected the money through Stripe, you could go into Stripe, and let me just flip back over here. And let me pull this back up and pull this over here. So we're in Stripe here again. We're in test mode. I could go into my payments, and I could go into my payments, and I could search. Then I could export these payments, and just click export, and it will give you a list of all the people that have paid you. Or you could, if it was a subscription product, you can actually do it through. You can look at subscriptions. Go to billing and subscriptions, and I should probably have some subscriptions here as well. And then you can filter down by subscriptions that are active, active subscriptions. And then you can export those subscriptions, and then so subscriptions will have an email address on them by customer, and then you could import that customer list. So whether you do payments, whether you do subscriptions or whatever, from Stripe or from another system, if you can export those email addresses, then you can actually go into ClickFunnels and go to contacts. You could do this through contacts. You could import them directly into a specific list. Either way is going to end up taking you to the same spot. But you could say import contacts, and then you can choose that file And you can actually go through and it will map the file for you. So let's say this, I just export. I won't actually do the actual import, but I'm just going to do all, and I'm going to export this. This is usually pretty quick in Stripe. Okay, great. So it's going to download that. I'm going to open that CSV up. And this is gonna, so we'll see what's in here. So this has all my data, okay, for these subscriptions. I've got a subscription ID, I've got a customer ID, I've got my customer description with the email, and then I've also got the customer email. So I kind of know what that looks like. And now I can go into ClickFunnels and say, okay, I want to choose my file. And it's going to be in my downloads. And I want to search this by date added. And so here's my subscriptions file, my CSV I just downloaded. I can open this up and I can say I've reviewed the contacts in this list. I confirm that each contact is given permission. So this is just ClickFunnels' way of saying, yep, I'm compliant with this. And I can upload that file. And then I can go in and say, okay, and it's got all the columns that are inside my CSV, right? And so I want to say my customer email is email. That's the only one I really need in this case. You could also pick out other fields, but there's not really any others that come out of the Stripe that we need in ClickFunnels, but it's the email that I want. So I'm kind of mapping these fields. These are the Stripe fields on this side, and this is the field that equates to inside of ClickFunnels in that contact. And these are the fields in ClickFunnels that I can actually map to. And so that's all good. So I can say review, and then it's going to come up and it will say, okay, yep, we found which list do you want to add this people to. You don't have to add them to a list, but it's going to kind of say, hey, you've got 9 contacts, 13 columns, 12 are unused, 9 rows. And then you can actually say, yep, I'm ready, import these 9 contacts. And you can actually import them that way. So you can get all those customers in one shot by doing a CSV upload into ClickFunnels. And then you could go through one by one and set, and then add that tag to them. You could also, and we'll go through this in follow-up funnels, you could actually even attach that list that you just created, attach them to a follow-up funnel that automatically adds the tag as you add them to the list. And then you would get a whole batch of people added at once. And that's actually probably a pretty good exercise to go through and run through and do that. Excuse me, but we'll run through that in I think that's in 2 sessions. We'll kind of run through follow-up funnels. It actually may be the next one. I'll have to take a look at what I had mapped out for the sequence of the content here. But that would be a good way to do that, is to add those people to a specific list, previous customers, create a new email list. When you're importing, you can actually pick the list you want to add them to. This is all the email lists that you have. So you could, add them to that specific list. And then if you're using the 297 plan, you could create a follow-up funnel. And in the follow-up funnel, one of the first steps would be to add a tag. And and it would be an Actionetics step, add tag, add the name of the tag, and then they would get access. I wouldn't do, you can't add a purchase with a follow-up funnel, but you can add a tag. So that's where tag restrictions come in super handy for this. So they would still get access to the content, and they would just be getting that content by tag access. So yeah, so that's kind of how that works. So hopefully that answers the question. Hopefully that helps a little bit, Aaron. One more thing that I want to talk about as far as restrict access goes. And this is one of the biggest benefits to using, let's actually jump back into this one. This is one of the biggest benefits of using the product requirements versus the tag requirements. And that is that if you use just product requirements, you can use tag requirements that not actually add the tag to your customers. You use your tags just for those kind of special cases, right? Those kind of one-off, those are kind of the edge cases. But by the majority, you should be adding access to the content by product purchases. And the reason is because what will happen is if somebody refunded this Yoga Funnel, they come in, they go through the order form, they buy Yoga Funnel Secrets, the one-time payment, and then they come back in 10 days later and they refund. And you give them a refund, and it's through Stripe. Then Stripe will send a webhook back to ClickFunnels that says, hey, this product was refunded, and ClickFunnels will actually remove that purchase from that contact profile. And now they'll no longer have access to that content. So you get this setup where you've automatically removed that person from the members area. They still have a members area account, but they won't actually be able to see any of the content within it because you've got product restrictions set and they don't actually have that product anymore. Same thing with a subscription. So this is how I use for CF Pro Tools. It's a monthly subscription or a lifetime. So if you've bought the lifetime and haven't refunded, or you're signed up for the monthly and you're still on an active subscription, you'll have access to that content. But as soon as that subscription gets canceled in Stripe, Stripe notifies ClickFunnels that a subscription has been canceled, and ClickFunnels will go in and mark that subscription, that purchase as canceled, and they'll lose access. They will no longer have that product on their contact profile, and they'll no longer have access to the content inside the members area. So that's one of the biggest reasons to use product requirements, especially when you're using Stripe. It doesn't work that way with all of the payment platforms like NMI or EasyPay Direct, because they don't send the webhooks back to ClickFunnels. But Stripe does, and ClickFunnels will act on that when you're using Stripe as your payment plan or as your payment provider. That's honestly one of the biggest reasons to use Stripe if you have access to it and you can use it for your business, is that it has a little bit of a tighter integration with ClickFunnels directly. And so can someone cancel through Stripe, or do they have to come to you and then you cancel through Stripe? They cannot cancel directly through Stripe, but there are other third-party tools that you can use to integrate that will allow them to cancel, but you still need to get them access to it. So what I do with CF Pro Tools is I actually have a system that's called ChargeDesk, and I use that, and ChargeDesk has an extension, and you can actually see it here. And so it actually pops open and it will search the entire page that I'm on for customers by email address. So if there's an email address on the page that is a customer in Stripe, then it will show that customer here. And then directly here, I can click cancel and it will cancel that person's subscription. So I use this with my help desk. It allows me to quickly cancel people. It cancels directly in Stripe, and then that cancellation flows from Stripe back to ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels will remove that product purchase, and then they'll lose access to the members area. So that's how I manage the cancellations. I still make them email into support, but there's not kind of a self-service at the moment. I'm actually working on one that will integrate with ClickFunnels so that you can have a self-cancellation inside of a ClickFunnels members area. But it's a little complex in that ClickFunnels needs to know who that customer is. At the end of the day, you have to be able to look up that customer by email address. And some customers might have purchased several different products from you. So you need to have and when they do that through ClickFunnels, through different order forms, they end up as a different customer in Stripe. It would be nice if Stripe, the email was the specific key in Stripe, but it's not. You can have the same customer, or you can have multiple customers with the same email address in Stripe. And all we know in ClickFunnels is that we have a customer ID. So we need to be able to kind of tie back to that CFUV ID that gets me a customer ID, that gets me to the right person in Stripe and all this. So it's a little complex to do self-cancellation within a ClickFunnels members area right now, but eventually I'll get that solved and that will become available. But what I use is ChargeDesk right now. It's super handy, and it will search in any web page you have open. So I go into my support system. When somebody sends me an email, it has the email on the page. ChargeDesk will then find that person. You can also search for email addresses. So we'll see if this one might show up. It probably won't because it was in test mode. So I can search by email address. And so here we can say, it actually has found several of the Jamie at CF Pro Tools. ChargeDesk is pretty smart. So it's going to say, hey, you've got 6 customers that have different pieces of that email address. So from right here, I can see I've made several purchases and I've canceled them. I can do refunds from here. I can open them up on Stripe. I can go, hey, I want to see this customer on Stripe. So allow you to view it on Stripe, view it on ChargeDesk. The other thing that I like about ChargeDesk is you can actually click and it will open up on ChargeDesk. It's going to ask me to sign in. So I can sign in, and now I also use this for people that are maybe European countries where they have VAT and they need to actually provide an invoice for that VAT so that they know they have that. So you can actually go and open up that customer inside of ChargeDesk and go to their billing history, and then it will show the invoices for that customer. And you can actually copy that link from ChargeDesk and send it directly to the customer, and they'll be able to see this billing history. They won't be able to see anything else, but they can see the charges they've made. They can see their billing history. They can actually update their card here. This is the other thing that I use this for, is if somebody says, hey, I changed my credit card, how do I update it on the system? I send them directly to this charge desk page where they put in their new credit card number. And as soon as they save that, it reflects in Stripe. And so the next time that Stripe tries to charge them, it will use the updated credit card. So Charge Desk is a great tool for that. And then also for somebody that's using VAT, they can actually come in here and put their VAT number, and they can actually change their address. If they've provided a different billing address or something, and they need to change their VAT address, they can make that change here and save it. They can put their VAT number here, they can save it, and then they can go back to billing history and re-download that invoice with the updated information. So Charge Desk is super handy for that. There's also a few other tools. I believe that Baremetrics is another tool that I use to send out automated emails for hey, you've got an upcoming payment, or your payment failed, things like that. People can update their card number directly through Baremetrics emails. They can click a link. It will take them to a Baremetrics page that will let them update their credit card information. And I automate that all through email using Baremetrics. And Baremetrics is really only useful if you're using a monthly, some sort of a subscription software. And so I use Baremetrics for that. It's built specifically for SaaS products, software as a service. But anybody that actually has a subscription service where you're doing either annual or monthly subscriptions, Baremetrics is a great tool. It gives you a dashboard. It will show you, what your current monthly revenue is, your annual recurring revenue amounts, and give you all kinds of dashboards. It's really, really a slick software. And then another one is Profitwell, profitwell.com. I also use that one. It's there's a free level there. I pay close to $200 a month for Baremetrics for all the different tools that they have, but you can start out, I believe they have a free plan up to a certain amount. And then it's like $100 a month for some of the automated tools. But it's well worth it for me. And because it automates, I do the recovery tool, which sends out the automated emails if somebody's payment fails to let them know that your payment failed. You need to update your credit card. And then also Profitwell has some additional tools as well that will do similar. They're very competitive products, but it's kind of nice to see it reflected in a couple different ways. So those are just a few of the tools that you can use to help manage some of those things like cancellations and refunds that integrate directly with Stripe, so that when the cancellation happens, even if the cancellation happens in Charge Desk, it reflects in Stripe, and then Stripe notifies ClickFunnels. So that's kind of the cool feature of it as well. It's not that you have to cancel it in ClickFunnels in order for ClickFunnels to take it. You can cancel it in Charge Desk, and Stripe knows about that. So Stripe still notifies ClickFunnels, and ClickFunnels still removes that purchase from that person. So hopefully that helps. That's kind of how I run things. Okay, so now let's jump back in and see where we're at. We're kind of got a little bit off on tangents there, but hopefully it's all good stuff. It all relates back to product requirements here and why we use product requirements to control access. You should always set this stuff up. It doesn't come out of the box that way. Richard wants to know, how much is Profitwell? Honestly, I think Profitwell, I don't think I pay anything to Profitwell right now. I think Profitwell is free. I think we're up to a certain level, and I honestly don't know what that level is, but I believe Profitwell is free up to a certain point, but then they also have those complimentary services where they will send out what we call our dunning or pre-dunning emails. Those are somebody's credit card has expired or is getting ready to expire, or their credit card has changed, or their payment failed. Those sorts of things they do charge for a monthly service. I use those through Baremetrics, so I don't use those features in Profitwell. So I think I use Profitwell, and it's entirely free at this point for me. So I know you can definitely get started with free. I will say that I know ClickFunnels uses Profitwell. In fact, I think that ClickFunnels is actually listed on Profitwell's landing page. I think if we were to pull up Profitwell here, I think you might even see ClickFunnels listed here. It's a really, really good service. So let's see. Yeah, it's not here. I think there's some case studies. There's a case study page for Profitwell that is listed for ClickFunnels. But these are just some of the companies that use, that use Profitwell. But yeah, you can get started for free. In fact, I don't even think. Let's see their products. The Retain product is a paid product. And I'm not even looked at some of these other ones. Recognized or priced intelligently, subscription pricing optimization. Okay, so yeah, I'm not familiar with any of these. The Retain product is actually a really, really good one. I happen to use the Recover product within Baremetrics. So I don't have a use at this point for Retain because they do the same thing, but it is, this is how, so it's pay for performance. Basically, when they recover, they charge you for it. We'll just jump into ProfitWell here real quick. They should show kind of a demo of what it looks like. So this is what you kind of get to see. With ProfitWell, Baremetrics is very much the same. You get this dashboard of what's your current monthly revenue, monthly recurring revenue, how many customers, how many are active. I do use this active customers from ProfitWell. I have a little snippet that is in my members area, so I can see when somebody is actually logged into the members area. ProfitWell knows about it. So I can go into ProfitWell and see how many people are actually actively going into, how many of my monthly recurring members are actively accessing the membership area on a monthly basis. You can also see growth, and then, new customers and how much churn. So you can kind of see churn percentages and all kinds of fun stuff. And then this Retain piece is we'll see what that looks like in the demo. So the Retain is going to show you how many people have failed, and so and how many people have been recovered payments. Like this person's failed, their payment failed, but then we're trying to recover this by sending them emails and tell you the status of that. You can view all failed payments. You can look at your recovery rate and see, oh, hey, before we started using Retain, here's what we had. Once we started using Retain, we've recovered 52% of that revenue. So it's a pretty cool software. It's definitely well worth it. I know ProfitWell is one of the top in the industry. I had just started with Baremetrics first before ProfitWell kind of came on the scene. And so I've been comfortable with them and I kind of continue to use them. So hopefully that helps a little bit. But again, bouncing back. So again, product requirements, very, very important to set those things up. Out of the box, all of your content is free. So unless you set up these product requirements or tag requirements. And Richard says, can I ask what kind of business the stats were for? I'm not sure what you mean there. For me, I use the stats for, and those stats that I was just showing with ProfitWell, those are actually just their demo stats. So that's just their demonstration. So those are just completely random numbers. But for me, I use it for CF Pro Tools for my monthly membership there. It lets me know, and it also will report, because I have monthly and I have lifetime, it will report to me what my monthly recurring revenue is, as well as what my other revenue is, which would be one-time payments. So I can kind of keep track of those things on a regular basis, how things are improving and growing. Both ProfitWell and Baremetrics will send emails to you on a daily or weekly basis that says, here's how many people you grew yesterday. Here's the people that signed up. Here's how many people canceled. So you can kind of keep a pulse on those sorts of things. So that's what I use it for. Anywhere you have subscriptions. It's not really great for one-time products, but for subscriptions, having some sort of a tool that will tell you what your churn is, how many people are canceling on a regular basis, and being able to track those things. So you can see if you're making efforts to reduce your churn over time, then you can see those tools will give you those graphs to say, okay, your churn last month was 20%, this month it's 18%. And so you can kind of see the things that you're trying to do, are they working or not? You can also see your growth curve, and it'll also do forecasting for you, which is one of the things I really like in Baremetrics. It will forecast for you based on your current growth rate or the growth rate over the last 3 months. Here's what you can expect in the next 12 months. Here's where you can expect your monthly recurring revenue to be. Or here's where how many active members you might expect to have based on the current growth. And you can look at that growth as a linear curve or as an exponential curve, and it will kind of forecast out for you what you can kind of expect. So both of those tools are very, very cool if you're running a monthly subscription service or a SaaS software. ChargeDesk is great regardless. It's different. ChargeDesk serves kind of an entirely different purpose than those two do. They both have some self-service cancellations as well as card update features built into them. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. Let's jump back into okay, so we're back in here. So hopefully that covers everything you kind of need to know about the security of your setup of your members areas, your lessons, and your sections. The thing that's important to note on this is that the security is at the lesson section level. It's not at the lesson level. So basically, when I now have a section, I have my module 1 section, and I've got it restricted to purchases that were for Yoga Funnel Secrets or the 3Pay, or somebody that has this YFS All Access tag. That's going to restrict any lesson that's within that section. So if I add a new lesson in that section, you'll notice that we don't get that option for setting a restriction level per the lesson. Anytime somebody has access to a section, they'll have access to all content within that section. And it looks like I had a little timeout there. This is always fun when things fail on you while you're in the middle of a live demo. That's the way it happens. So it's possible I got logged out for some reason. Let me refresh this page and see what's going on. Okay, we're back. So let's see if we can add a new lesson section here. There we go. Just need a little refresh. And so now we're going to create a lesson section or a lesson within a section. So now we need to pick which section this goes into. So we're going to put this in the module 1 section. And we're going to say, well, what's the name of this? We'll just call it lesson 1 for simplicity. And then a page template is and you should pick one of these. You can make the page have whatever content you want on it, but we have seen errors in the past. If you don't pick a page template, that ClickFunnels will kind of get a little goofy and can occasionally throw errors in the members area. So it's always best to pick one of these. There's only 2 options. Is it a resource list or is it a video lesson? Most of the time, most people are going to use the video lesson template. And then a drip delay. This is another feature that's kind of nice, is if you've got a membership area and you want to drip delay some of the content. If you want to say, hey, this is a 30, and this, for example, this is how we, it's actually not how we do things with the One Funnel Away Challenge, but it would be similar in concept. If you have a membership area that when somebody signs up, you want them to only get day 1 content right away, then you set no drip delay on day 1. But then day 2 content, you want them to get 24 hours later after they've opted in, after they've created their account, then you could set a drip delay of days. So you could say 1 day. So this is going to be available 1 day after they sign up. And then the advanced settings down here, the required time. So this is set for the little check mark that you'll see as to mark this lesson as completed. So if you want to be able to keep track of how many, what the completion percentage is of your members, then you could set this required time. So the required time is in the number of seconds that someone must land on this section or this lesson and how long they have to have stayed on the page in order for this lesson to be marked as complete. So if I wanted to say, if somebody's been on this lesson for 10 seconds, then let's mark it completed, then we would just put 10 in there. If we want it to be, they have to be on this for 20 minutes, then we would do the quick math on that and say, okay, 20 minutes times 60 seconds is 1200. So they would have to be on this page, on this lesson for 1200 seconds in order to be marked as completed. And that means if they've stayed on this section, this lesson for 20 minutes, then give them the little complete check. And then also I'll show you here real quickly where you can actually see that in the members area. Or in your members list, it will show you what the completion percentage for your members are. So you can quickly see how people are actually progressing through your content. So this is just one of those things that you might want to set. And usually it's going to be based on how long is the video on this lesson. If you're doing a video and this video is 45 minutes, well, what's the 45 minutes times 60 seconds and put that in as your required time. If they've been on that lesson for that long, then they've probably watched the video. Unfortunately, at this point, I'm also working on maybe doing this as an actual based on certain video. So the actual video view length, have they actually watched the entire video? And being able to actually grab and use this tool with the already required time, the tools that are actually built into ClickFunnels, and make them more accurate based on actual video view length for this lesson, not just how long were they on the page. But so for right now, it's how long were they on this lesson. So if it's, we'll just set this one at We'll say we'll set this at 60 seconds. So if they've been on this lesson for 1 minute, then we're going to mark it complete. The other tool you have here is the release date. So this is if you were doing, say, a challenge funnel, and you were going to start the challenge on a very specific date, and you're going to run it through, or you wanted to change and you wanted to run, you're going to run them live, and you're going to run them one at a time, and you wanted to this content only to be available starting on a particular date. And so you can then set a date here, and you can put in your date. I want this to start on September 1st. So you're going to do 09/01/2019. So this content, this lesson will not be available, will not be shown in the members area until September 1st, 2019. And then when September 1st, 2019 happens, then this lesson will automatically show up for that customer. When they log in, they'll see it. So you could do that to run, you could just set a different release date for each one of your lessons in your challenge, and you could run a challenge funnel that way. So those are just a few of the features that are available when you're setting up your lessons in your members area. So I'm not going to set, you probably would not want to do this drip delay and a release date at the same time. You want to do one or the other. The reason is the drip delay, they kind of serve the same purpose, but much, much different ways of actually approaching it. So drip delay is based on when they actually created their member account. And so, that's 1 day after they created their members account. The release date is a very specific date. And so if that date's not been reached yet, then you won't turn it on, but you don't want to use them both at the same time. So we'll take off the drip delay and say, okay, the release date's 9/1/2019. Or you might do one or the other, but you definitely don't want to do both. So we're going to delete this out. We're just going to get rid of that entirely so we can see this. We'll leave the required time in for now. So we're going to create this module 1, lesson 1. You have to be on the page for this lesson for 60 seconds in order for that to count as complete. So we'll create that lesson. And now we have now we've got that all set, and we want to open the editor. And inside the editor, it's pretty simple. It started with a video lesson template. So we're going to get the content kind of pre-crafted using the template for a video lesson. So you get a kind of a title, a little intro paragraph, a video, a little paragraph, and then some links to download some resources. You can really customize this to do whatever you want. And honestly, this thing gets in the way. I might actually create that as part of my extension just to hide this when you're on a video lesson editor. Or you can use even Dan, I know, has done a little bookmarklet to turn it off. Our little bookmarklets before, you could use one that actually hides this element. But you can delete really anything on here. But you just basically want to go into your video, and a lot of times you're going to use YouTube, and you're going to put in your YouTube URL. The thing to keep in mind with YouTube, it's free hosting, which is great. But if you're just starting out with YouTube and you haven't uploaded enough videos, you don't have enough traction yet, then they are going to limit how long your videos can be when you're first getting started. And so at least when it's been a while since I initially set up my YouTube channel, but at least at that time, the max upload you could do was a 15-minute video until you got over a certain amount of videos, and then they would let you upload longer ones. Now I have videos that are 3.5, 4 hours in length, and that's no problem. But your customers will see videos that are listed that are public. If they pause the video, or if they get to the end of the video, it will show related videos. So if you've got other videos on your channel, then those YouTube videos will show those at the end or when they're paused. And that may not be what you want. So that may be where you decide, what? And also somebody could open that video and open it on YouTube. And if it's unlisted, it just means that it's not going to show up in the search, but it doesn't mean that somebody couldn't share it. And your video has to be unlisted in YouTube in order to be able to share it in your members area. Otherwise, nobody would be able to see it except you, because you're logged into your YouTube account. So you have to mark your videos as unlisted in YouTube. The problem is that somebody could quickly and easily take that YouTube URL and then go and share it, and somebody would be able to go directly to your YouTube page and watch that video. So that kind of takes all of your training that's available, and and makes it easy for somebody to take it. That being said, I generally don't worry too much about that. All of these videos inside CF Code Lab are there. I trust you all. You've obviously paid for this content. I know you're going to value that fact, and you're not going to just be going out and sharing it. that's kind of the point, right? Is, you know, it's for you, it's for your value. So it's generally not going to be a problem, and I don't worry too much about it. So I'm using YouTube for CF Code Lab. I use it for all of my CF Pro Tools videos, and especially there, the videos don't do much good without the code. So you've got options. But if you're concerned about the security of the videos, then you might want to look at something like Wistia or Vimeo, where it's a paid platform. You're paying them to host your videos for you. I think they might even have a free level. I think Wistia has a free level, but it only lets you upload so many videos, and then have so much bandwidth before you have to start paying. But Wistia is a good option. And then you can actually set which domains can this video be embedded in. And somebody that's not logged in won't be able to see, just grab that URL and go to the video. So you might want to use one of those tools, depending on how conscious you are of those security issues. Yeah, and Dan says, I create a bookmark that makes the members lesson editor 100% width. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great one, Dan. Great use of that, because it really is just the pretty much the same editor you see, the page editor. And so having 100% width is definitely nice. There's a few things that get removed here when it's inside of specifically for membership lessons. There's certain elements that aren't available for memberships, but otherwise, it's really kind of a cool feature. So that would be a good use, and I may even just add that to my little custom extension as well, and then get rid of the little get help here because that's a little annoying. So yeah, so that's kind of what you have to look for, really what you're mostly going to do in your lesson content. Otherwise, this is exactly the same as what you'd see, or pretty close to what you would see when you're editing a regular page in ClickFunnels. So pretty much all the other tools, adding sections, adding rows, all those things work exactly the same inside of this editor. The only things you don't have is to be able to set metadata and things like that. You don't have a bunch of the settings tabs that you see in the normal page editor, because this is really just, that's all wrapped inside of the main membership area editor. So that's editing a lesson on this inside of the ClickFunnels. So we're gonna go ahead and close out of that. So we've got our lesson created, and we've got our section created. We've got our product restrictions. Those are kind of the cores, right, of your membership area. Those are the most important pieces. I wanna make sure we covered those first off. The next thing we'll want to look at is actual editing the members area page itself. Dan says, have you used the Wasabi OTO yet? CF announced the Wasabi upgrade at Offermind in Orlando. Any news on the status? No, I have not used the Wasabi OTO yet. And really, the Wasabi OTO actually came out of my custom version of that we used for the 10X Secrets launch. And so Todd and I worked together on that. So basically took what I had built out and done custom and kind of made that just an add-in feature for ClickFunnels. And I don't even know that I have it turned on in this account. I think it's still a beta feature. I think you can still request it, access to it, but I don't believe that I have it set up. And so I think that it's going to be on the lesson section, and it's not here. So if I go, yeah, I don't even have, so no, I don't have any news on that when that's actually going to be released as a full feature. I believe it is still in beta, and I'm not 100% sure on that one yet. So, but it does work, and a lot, several people that are using it. So for those that aren't familiar, it's under restrict. Yeah, I don't have it turned on. Yeah, so for those that aren't familiar with it, that's right, it is under the restrict. It has to do with, you can add a section basically, and you can restrict, you can tell people that, hey, in order to get access to this section, you need to go and buy this particular OTO. And then you pick which OTO page they actually need to buy the product on in order to unlock that module. So if you say, when we did restrict access here, okay, one of the products could be a one-time offer product that they need to actually get access to that. And then there would be another option down here to say, okay, what is the OTO page you want to connect to this? And then what they would see in the members area, and let's go ahead and open this editor up. And let's do a quick preview. Once it opens here. So if we preview this now, we'll see all of the lessons here. But what you would see is like, this would say, it would have module 1. If module 1 was tied to an OTO purchase, and you wanted to restrict wanted somebody to be able to see module 1, but not actually get access to any of the content, you could use the Wasabi OTO that would, when they hover over this, it would say a little, show a little lock icon and say, click here to purchase. And when they click it, it would actually take them back to the OTO page where that product is being sold. And then they could, because the members area knows the customer, it would actually let them do a one-click upsell to actually buy that product. And so, yeah, so that's kind of the Wasabi OTO. It's very cool. And it actually came about because I recommended that we do that for 10X Secrets. Like, hey, you know, we could actually use this sticky one-click upsell in members areas. So we could easily show somebody what's available and say, hey, sorry, it's locked. And then they'd be able to actually go and buy that. And we have quite a people use that. It actually did add quite a bit of revenue to that launch. In fact, that's one of the 2 Comma Club awards we have back on the back wall here is, yeah, the one, actually, no, it's the one on the one on the left, one on your left as you're looking at the video. So it'd actually be on the right. Sorry, I have to trying to map things out here in my head. But that was for the 10X Secrets launch. That's when we first used that. It added a significant amount of revenue to that launch by people that didn't buy the OTOs on the first way through and then got in the members area and were like, oh man, oh yeah, I've got this cool stuff. And then they were able to, when they went to actually access that. And it was that little mental shift that like, oh man, yeah, I really want to check out and see what that is. That they went to click on it. It's like, oh, sorry, you need to buy this to actually get access to it. We had quite a few people that clicked that and actually went back and bought the one-time offers, the offers they had already seen. They skipped them before, but they went back and purchased them because now they saw it in the members area and they really wanted it. And so, yeah, it's a great way to add additional revenue. If you've got products that you're selling through a one-time offer and you can deliver that content through a members area, the Wasabi OTO, there's also, the way I do it's a little bit differently because what I want to have happen, when you're seeing it in Wasabi, you're just seeing the title of the section. You're not actually seeing the lessons that are included there. You're just seeing the title of the module, like module 1 would be all you would see. And then that would have a little lock icon over it. And when you click, when you hover over it, it'll say click to purchase or something like that. The way I do it is I actually do it with images. So you could actually do banner images, or what I like to do is actually have the expanded out module that has a list of all the lessons and do a screenshot of that and then upload that as an image and then hover over that entire thing. So they actually see the entire list. Oh, Dan says they see the lessons too. Okay, well, I've not used the Wasabi version. So that I think is actually new because the initial pass through was just the module name. So yeah, so that's actually very cool. I'm glad they made that update. So yeah, you want to be able to, them to be able to see the lessons, but not actually activate or actually get access to those. And then when they hover over, then you get that, you know, icon, click to purchase and take them back to the OTO page. So yeah, so very cool. So that's the Wasabi OTO. So no, I don't have any news on that. I don't know when it's going under full access or when it's coming out of beta and being available for everybody. But here we're inside of the members area. You can see this is basically, you know, just like using the ClickFunnels page editor. It is it's the regular page editor. The only difference is there are a few elements here that are specific to membership areas that are not available in normal pages. This being one of those. This is the actual lesson content element. So if we click on add new element, we can see here the membership elements are very specific. The navigation is this element over here. That is the navigation of all your modules and lessons. That's only available inside of members areas. So that's this element. The search is also only available in the members areas, and that's this element here. I really don't like this search element. It can be nice and people can use it. The way that it works is you're able to type in here and say lesson, and it will highlight on the page all the places where lesson might show up. And so you can see quickly where the content's at. I think it's kind of I don't use it. I turn it off, but you know, that's kind of personal preference. And then one of the other things is the actual member content. So that was the other element here. This is just the content. So you can drag that anywhere that you want on the page. So you could change the layout entirely if you wanted to. Say we wanted this to be the content on the left and the navigation on the right. We would just do a new section. We would do a right sidebar. I must have moved when I clicked. Right sidebar. So now we have a right sidebar. Now we can drag, we could drag our nav element in here. And we could drag our search in here if we wanted to. And then we could drag our content. Oh, it's gonna be kind of a pain. There we go. We could drag our content in there. And now we have content on the left, nav on the right, that sort of thing. One thing that you want to keep in mind is that when you do mobile optimization is how that's going to actually show up to your customers. And then the content's going to be at the top, the nav will be at the bottom. That may be great, or it may not be ideal, because then you may not actually be able to see the nav first off, so they might get a little confused. Generally, ClickFunnels members areas aren't the greatest for mobile optimization, but I know Dan's done quite a bit of good work on making it a little more mobile friendly, so he'd be a good one to reach out for that. Yeah, so just some different things that you can do. You have pretty much the same features available in here. Like this one, you can see has a little white background behind it, a little custom CSS there. It's actually just settings on this column. So we could do that same thing. We go into columns, and we can say, okay, we want the left column here, this first column, and I want to go to my advanced. I want to give that, actually, I want settings. I'm going to set a background color, set that to white, and I'm going to go to advanced, and I'm going to make the corners 5 pixels. Let's make them 10, and I want to do border. I want to do a bottom only border, and I want to set it to this gray. And then that gives us kind of a pretty similar effect of what we have going on up here. And then we might want to do, something where we maybe add to that column, we add some padding. Let's see. So we've got settings, and we want, some top padding. So we'll do, oh, wrong column, first column. So we want to some top padding. Here we go. Left and right padding. Here we go. Maybe some bottom padding. Let's do 20 all the way around. There we go. So now we've kind of rebuilt that in our membership area, so that we've got that kind of same thing. And now we can just delete this out. And now we've got that set up. So now if we save this and we preview, then our whole membership layout has changed. So now our content's on the left, nav is on the right, and we've got our module here. We can click here, we've got our lesson, and we've got everything set up. So that's kind of our membership area page. The one thing that I would highly recommend, and we'll go through in more detail how to actually set this up, but the one thing that I highly recommend is using the CF member navigation, which is a CF Pro Tools add-on to allow people to go to the previous and next lessons inside of this. And you can do it in a couple of ways. You can actually do it in the lesson section. You can add the buttons, or you can add them here. So let's just do that real quick while we're talking about it. So I'm going to jump into my CF Pro Tools account. And this is one that's actually available in the free members area. So we'll get logged in here. And this is also a ClickFunnels members area. So we can see, we've got kind of the navigation here. We've got a few just custom elements in here. Need to update some of this probably. And we've got our content over here. And this content is our first lesson. So this is our welcome lesson. In this one, I just have some affiliate links that you can click on to join the One Funnel Challenge or buy funnel scripts. Down at the bottom, I also have some affiliate banners down here, which is great for some additional revenue. But we've got in our free add-on section, we've got another free section, no tag restrictions, no module or product restrictions on this section. But we can grab the code for the CF member nav. And we can go in here. This is just a video lesson. So it's got the video above. And then on this one, I've got just a custom iframe embedded here with the custom HTML element that includes all this code. So if I grab all the code from this, if I grab all this code, I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go back into my members area, and I'm going to paste that in my tracking code, footer codes, and I'm going to paste that in. I'll probably update this one because I need to put the copyright and actually make it a little friendlier to grab out. But you'll notice in this one, in the code, we've got anywhere that there is a URL that has a href of next lesson or previous lesson. So hashtag next dash lesson or hashtag previous dash lesson, then I want to change and figure out which lesson I'm currently on and then move on to the next one or to the previous one based on that. So let's go ahead and add some buttons to this that allow people to do that. And we want to just say, let's put in a new, I want to do, it's kind of be a little bit of a pain to do with, I would like to do them in new rows, but because we're using a 2-column row already, I want them to be just on this side underneath my content. So here I'm going to add in a button. And what I might want to do in this case, we might have to do some custom CSS. So we'll clean this up later. The other thing you could do is you could put another 2-column row just above this. So let's actually just do it that way. Let's do this. Let's do another right sidebar. And now let's add, actually, nope, that's not gonna work either. Let's do, trying to figure out how to make this work so I can have my buttons be just underneath my content. And I want this to be this. Let's see if I can actually, I don't think I can actually left align that row. So we'll, oh yeah, we can. There we go. So let's do this. Let's see this. I want a little bit wider. Okay, and then let's split this difference back here. Okay, so now we've got our rows about as wide as this side here, and we want to add now buttons, and we're going to add a button here, and I'm just going to call this previous lesson, or just say previous. And I could probably even do a little before, icon picker. This is the before icon. So let's just do a little chevron here, or not chevron, that's a, I forget what they call that. Just an angle bracket, we'll call that. And then let's set this one so that now the action for this is go to website URL, and we're gonna set this to previous dash lesson. And it opens in the same window. It's not gonna do anything because it's actually gonna kill the link, but it's going to take the action. So, but we'll leave it as open in same window. And so we've got that. And then let's go ahead and clone this. And we're going to drag it over here. Oh, drag it over here. And now let's change this. Now we're going to say next. And now we're going to set the action to this one to be next lesson. Ooh. Next lesson. And we'll do back. And then, yeah, we've got that. Okay, cool. And then let's go ahead and change our icon here. So we're going to get rid of the icon at the beginning. So we'll delete that. And then let's do the icon picker after and do our little right arrow. So we'll do that. And this one we could probably do a little more horizontal space. Maybe make that a little wider, match up a little bit better. There we go. That's closer. It doesn't have to, it's not exact. We can tweak that with some custom CSS. We'll probably go through that in a later lesson. But now we've got previous and next buttons. And so now if we save that, and let's just set that so it doesn't keep my awesome members area. Okay, so we'll save that. And now let's open this up. Let's run this again. And now we're on lesson 1, right? And we've got our buttons down here for previous and next. If we click next, now we're on lesson 2. So that's what the previous and next button do. I would always recommend adding this. It just makes it easier for your people to run through your lessons. And it works based on the navigation. It looks through the navigation and it finds these lessons because they're all numeric. They're based on sections. So it figures out which section you're in, which lesson you're in within that section. That's the math for you to go previous and next. And so if we click previous, it'll take us back to lesson 1. If we do next, it will take us to lesson 2. And so that's kind of how that works. And that makes it easier for people to go back and forth between your different lessons. So I like to add that one to my membership areas. And it definitely makes it easier. I actually don't have that in CF Pro Tools if your content makes sense for it. I should say that. With CF Pro Tools, it's a membership area, but it's not really intended to be go through these in sequence. But for CF Code Lab, I don't think I have added it yet, but I should, right? It should be there for CF Code Lab so that you can go through section by section or lesson by lesson by lesson and just use those buttons. Hey, once you've watched this video, then go through the next lesson. And so that'd be one way to do that. So I'd recommend that when you're setting up your members areas. The other thing that's important with members areas is to be able to link to these specific lessons, maybe from inside of another lesson. And there's not a built-in way in ClickFunnels to do that. You can't link to a specific lesson with ClickFunnels, because if you'll notice that if I go to this page and I click on, we'll notice the URL. Let me get rid of some of this cruft here, just to make it a little easier to see. Okay, so we can see the URL is just this member area 314.91.322 EEA, right? It ends, you know, it's got this. That's the URL. We're in preview right now, but that's the URL. If I click and go to lesson 1 to go to my next lesson, we'll notice that URL doesn't change at all. If I click to go back to first lesson, it doesn't change at all. There's no change. This is all one page. It's all, this content is swapping based on a JavaScript action. The content's actually loaded within each one of these lessons. All the content is actually within the navigation. And then just when you click on it, it goes to that lesson, it reloads, it just swaps out the content on the page. So there's not an easy way to say, hey, grab the URL and just send somebody straight to that lesson in the members area. But obviously that's something very common that people want to do, is be able to send an email that says, hey, go watch module 2, lesson 3, and go there and talk about that and send an email that links straight to that. Or if you're inside of lesson 1 and you're talking about, you might have a listing of, you know, maybe all the main topics, and you want to link to lesson 1 for each module of your module list, and you want to link to that from within the membership area. That would be a common thing that people might want to be able to do. So I created a couple of modules inside CF Pro Tools that allow you to do that. And one of those, and they're actually, I believe that lesson links actually is, I think they're both inside the VIP Club add-on. Sorry, I've got so many, I kind of lose track sometimes. CF lesson links, the add-on here, this is the one that will allow you to link from within your members area to specific lessons. So you could say you're on lesson 1 and you want to link to lesson 2 from within your members area content. You can use this CF lesson links. So let's grab this one, and I'm going to copy all, and we're going to go in and we're going to paste this into our members area. So we're going to go into tracking code and footer codes. And the video in the CF Pro Tools areas walks through exactly how to do all this. But we can see here that this one is looking for anywhere that has a hashtag lesson, and it's gonna look for that link, and then it's gonna pull out of that lesson link. It's gonna pull out which actual specific lesson are you linking to, and it's gonna go to that one. Or if you have an image that links to a lesson, it's also gonna work on image links as well. So we've got that set up. Now let's say we wanted to link from, in our members area, we're in lesson 1 and we want to have a link that goes to lesson 2, or the lesson 1-1 that's inside of our module here, the first lesson in module 1. So this is section 1, this is section 2. Numerically, this first section has an ID of 1, and this module, second module has an ID of 2. This lesson has an ID of 1-1, and this lesson has an ID of 2-1. And so we want to link to 2-1 from 1-1. So if we go in now to this lesson, and let's say our content in this one, this lesson was a resource list. Let's say we want this lesson here to link to, or this button to link to lesson 2-1, then we would just make that the URL, hashtag lesson 2-1. And so now we've got a URL set on that one. And we're going to save that. And let me make sure I saved the members area after I added that code. I don't think I did. So we've got that saved. And now if we go into our preview and we refresh this members area, so now our content loads. Now this button links to lesson 2-1. We've got our code in that does the CF lesson links. Now if we click on that, it goes to lesson 2-1. And so that's how that works. And if we wanted to do the same thing to lesson 1 to link back to the main, we could do that. We just go into that lesson. So we can exit out of here. go into this lesson. And it'll load eventually. And then we could have, say we want to have, something down here at the bottom that was a link that always goes back to, back to the table of contents. We could have, a button in here. Could be a link as well. Could be an image. But we want to have this button linked to our table of contents, which is lesson 1-1. And we can make this say table. Go ahead and save that. And now we're there. So now let's go to this one. Now let's refresh this page. Now we notice when we refresh it, it's actually going to take us back to lesson 1-1 because that's the way members area works. Again, they're all one page, and the first thing it does is load up the first lesson. So now we can click to go to lesson 2 or lesson 2-1. Now we have our table of contents link. We click that, and it will go back to our first lesson. So that's kind of how the lesson links work, but they only work within the membership area itself. It doesn't work if you were to send somebody to that. You'll notice the URL doesn't change or anything like that. And it doesn't actually, we can't grab that URL from, we can't right click and say copy link address and paste this in. And say we make this to go to lesson 2-1, we can do that, but it's not actually going to go to lesson 2-1. It's going to stay on lesson 1-1 because this is just for internal links. It's not for external links. It's for internal links only. But we have another add-on that you can actually use. Say you want to send an email. Again, you've got a follow-up sequence. Somebody signs up, buys your product. You can say, hey, make sure and go get signed with the membership area. And then day 2, you may want to say, hey, did you check out the first lesson? Here's a link. And it sends them to the members area. The problem is we want to be able to retain this through the members area sign-in process. So we have to use the same hashtag kind of concept here. But now we have another one that is inside of, that I would definitely recommend adding, that's inside of CF Pro Tools, and it's called the members area deep links add-on. So these are kind of the cool add-ons for members areas. So if we click this one and we open this code up, there's actually a couple of different pieces of code on this. So if we go back here, we can see this one actually has 2 different chunks. So this chunk goes on to the member access page. And again, the video covers all of this. So if you ever have any questions, access the video. But this chunk goes onto the members access page. That's the login page. And then this chunk goes on the actual members area page. And so we're going to grab this chunk. And so I'm going to copy that because we've already got our members area open in the editor. So I'm going to go back into my editor for my members area. I'm going to go to my tracking code. I'm going to go to my footer code, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I'm going to add some line here. I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to save that one. There we go. And now, because we have that in, and I've got this URL that says 2-1 now, uses the same structure as the internal link so that they both work. Now, if I hit enter to go to that URL, it'll load for a second, and then as soon as the page finishes loading, it goes to lesson 2-1. So you'll see that because that URL has the lesson 2-1 on it, that it will go to that lesson. So that's how you can link directly to it. The other chunk of code that we have, we'll go ahead and grab that one real quick. The other chunk of code, this code up top, this one goes on the member access page. It's the login page. It's the create your account page. We're going to grab that one as well. And we're going to go into our funnel here, and let's open that page up. Let's see if we've, yeah, let's grab it from here. So if we go to the Yoga Secrets members, we want to add this one to the login page, because what happens if somebody's not already logged in and they click that link in the email and they haven't logged in yet, they're going to go to that login page. And if we didn't have this chunk of code on the login page, then once they get into the members area, it's not going to take them to that lesson. So we need to have this piece there as well. So we're going to go ahead and open this page in the editor. And we're going to go ahead and, as soon as it loads, we're going to insert that code into the footer codes, just like we did before, just a different chunk of code. It's a smaller piece. We're just going to go to footer codes and we're going to paste that in. And so this code, real quickly, just what it does is it actually grabs the hash which is what comes after the hashtag. It includes that hashtag. It's going to grab that off the URL, and it's going to say, hey, if there is a hash and it has the index of hashtag lesson, which means I found this, it found something with lesson, which means it's going to lesson 2-1 or whatever, then go ahead and grab the lesson ID off of it. So basically says, take the hash, replace the hashtag lesson, and whatever's left is the deep lesson link. And then go ahead and set a local storage variable with that CFMA, which stands for ClickFunnels members area, deep link, set that lesson ID. And then the other code that we inserted on our into our membership area editor here, if we go to tracking code and we look at that one, we'll notice that that one first looks to say, hey, do I have a CFMA deep link value on my local storage, which is the ID of the lesson I want to send them to. If I have that deep lesson or I have a hash, then go ahead and send them to that lesson. So that's kind of how this works. It keeps track of that from the login page all the way through to the actual members area. And so we just need to make sure and have that code, the appropriate code in both spots. So we added this code here, and now we can click save, and we'll just do my awesome login page. And so we've got that. Okay, so now we have kind of the three main pieces of code that I think is worthwhile to add on pretty much every membership area. And that is the ability to go to the previous and next lessons, as well as to be able to link to specific lessons from inside the members area, as well as outside the members area. And the way, excuse me, and then, you know, you can create your emails, you could drop links in a blog post, you could do all kinds of stuff that would send people to specific lessons inside of your members area. And they will pass through the login page if they need to, or if they're inside the content already, it just keeps them within the members area and it will send them to that specific lesson. So those are pretty much the main ones that I like to use inside setting up members areas. There's also some more custom functions. There's like the member collapse other sections. So this would be one that you can add so that as somebody opens this lesson, so now I've got that open, you'll notice this one stays open. So both of these, let me get rid of some of this stuff here. I'm gonna throw these on some other screens. I'm gonna throw this over. Oh, actually, no, we'll keep this here. So we can see kind of in this one now that both of these lesson sections are open. And because I've expanded both of them, then they stay open. But this, this one will actually make it so that if somebody clicks a lesson in one section, it closes all the other sections. So that you kind of highlight just what's left in the one that they're working on. So let's go to our members area and we're gonna add this one in. I'm just gonna paste that in. No special configuration or anything needed on this one. We're just gonna save it. And then we're gonna go ahead and refresh this. I'm gonna close out this tab. And so now we've got our lesson here. So now I can, if I wanna expand this out and go to lesson 1 here, now you'll notice the first section closes. So now I'm just highlighting on what's in module 1. So, and same thing, if I click this one, then module 1 closes and it's just the lessons available in this. So it kind of keeps your navigation condensed to just the section that that person's within. If they're working within that section, then let's just close down all the other sections. So that's kind of how that one works. It's handy as well. Kind of keeps things clean and decluttered. That way, if you've got, especially if you've got a lot of lessons modules, a lot of lesson sections, you don't have this huge mile-long navigation list visible at all times. You just, and somebody's working through it and they have to open it to see the next one. Let's just close down all the other ones. So that kind of keeps that compact, which is great. And then let's, oh, sorry, move past it. Oh. Keep going past too many tabs. Here we go. So let's close that down. And then we've also got inside here let's see. The big one that I would look at is if you have interest, you can look at this Magic Member Nav. This is a way to actually use a combination of a few of the add-ons, like the lesson links, to actually use a navigation structure that is more similar to, in fact, let's just pull this up and you can actually add the share funnel straight to your account. But what this does is gives you the ability to do something like, let's jump into this membership area. So if you were in this membership area and say, instead of using this nav, you want to actually just have, hey, I've got 6 modules and I want people to go and use, say a 6-column row or a 3-column row a couple of times. So we'll do something like and we've done this for a couple of ClickFunnels actual members areas as well. We have one called the Waffle that is for the 2 Comma Club coaching group. And we have images up at the top, and it's just a grid that looks like a waffle. And each one of those links to a very specific lesson section. So then you could have buttons that link to specific elements or specific lessons. And you could put, say a button here. And we can say this one links to lesson 1. And you could set the action here to go to lesson 1-1. And then we could clone this and drag it over here and say this one goes to lesson 2. Lesson 2. And then that's all we have for now, but you could, you get the kind of the point here. We'll just clone this out a few times. So we'll drag this over here. So say you had 6 lessons you wanted people to go through. You could do something like this and just have buttons at the top that get them to each of their lessons, give them quick access, go to each one of these lessons. And so this one links to lesson 1, this one links to lesson 2, and then you could actually just hide this content. So you could actually hide this navigation entirely so they don't even see it. And it's all just based on these buttons here. So now if we save this, we can actually go in here and refresh our page. And now we've got our lesson button links here. We've got no navigation, but if we click lesson 2, why is this not working? Oh, because I didn't change the actual URL. It's like, oh, why did it stop working all of a sudden? It's because I need to change this to actually link to lesson 2-1. 2-1, there we go. And now if I save this, and I refresh this. Now, if I click on this, it's going to take me to lesson 2. And if I click this, it's going to take me to lesson 1, so on and so forth. And so you could have, say if you had 6 lessons, you could just do this. Or if you had 8 lessons, 10 lessons, 12 lessons, whatever, you could lay out a structure that has completely different navigation that uses the navigation that's actually hidden here. You have to have it on the page because that's what tells us where the content exists and it actually loads the content, but it's a different way to actually navigate your members area. So it's a different way to play. And you could do those, you could put that in the right sidebar here, or now we could take and make this actually be a full width, just a 1-column full width section, and take this content element and load it here. And now we could take this row and make it have the cool little background. We'll give it a bottom only border. And we could make it 10 pixels. We could give it a background color. We could do the white behind there. We've got the 2020. Let's do left and right there. I don't like that. I like it with 10. That's better. And now we've kind of got that same thing going. We've got that same look. Now we can just get rid of this entirely, rid of this row. And now we've got a full width membership section. So let's save this. And now let's reload this. What did I do? Did I not have I've got my content there. Oh, I got rid of my nav. When I deleted that 2-column row, I had my hidden nav in there. So now I could just add that anywhere. So now I could make this a full column row. I can make this full width. So let's do that. Full width. Got my previous index there. And I could just throw in, I'm going to hide an element, but I need to have my nav element on the page. I need to have this to be on the page or it doesn't know how to load the content. But now I can just hide this. So I can have that element there and I can just hide it on my page. So now it's hidden. And now I can reload this page. And now I should have my content. I've got my previous next buttons here. I've got these buttons that will link to that lesson. Now I've got a nice big video here. So if you were just doing video lessons and you just want to have a nice big video you just wanted to be able to step through all of them, you could do it with that. I could even go in to these actual individual lessons and I could delete this entire top section. And I could delete this entire section, delete this entire section, and have nothing but my video, or maybe a video with a headline below it or above it, whatever. And now, if I go in and I reload this, now I've got just a quick way I could bounce through several different videos in those lessons. So just a few things that you can do with just a few custom add-ons. And the Magic Member Nav, if you take a look at that inside of the CF Pro Tools members area, kind of shows you there's some code that you can use to actually expand and collapse the navigation. So you're just focused on the content, all kinds of cool things that you can do there. So another one kind of quick one to play around that's focused specifically on members areas. Aaron asked the question, can you swap the mobile view to see what this looks like? Let me actually, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, actually let's do this a little bit different. So we'll do it in this preview and let's go to inspect. This is another little trick that you can use when you're actually in your browser. You can use the mobile view on this. Click this little icon and it'll give you the mobile view, and you can actually swap out different devices. So you can pick different phones. This is in Chrome, so all these different things, or you can set specific sizes. You can also select the zoom, you know, and you can say, okay, I want to zoom at 150%, but it's going to give you a little bit bigger window to look at, but it's going to show you what it would look like inside a mobile device. And then you can actually move this to the right side. So now you're looking at it on mobile. So you can see what it looks like on mobile, and you can do previous, and it's kind of scrolls to the top. There's a few more that you can do and that will actually scroll just to the top of the lesson content. And I don't think I've installed that one yet, but you can actually make these so when you click the link, it scrolls to the top of the content versus scrolling to the nav. So obviously this is not a layout that works well for mobile, but you could go in and do a mobile only layout. So you could say, okay, I want this row to be mobile only, or actually vice versa. I want it to be desktop only, and then maybe do a different layout for mobile, or maybe you want it at the top on desktop, but you want it at the bottom on mobile, that sort of thing. But the functionality exists and it's the same. You don't have to have multiple navigation elements, all that. You can do it with buttons. You could do it with links. You can do it just with regular plain links. You could have a bulleted list that has the links. There's a lot of different things that you could do with this to make things more friendly. And those are things that kind of important to keep in mind when you're looking at your audience and what kind of audience you're focused on. Is your audience going to be mostly mobile, and you want to make sure your members area is mobile friendly for them, that they might be consuming the content more on mobile versus consuming it more on desktop. For example, Lady Boss, Kaylin and Brandon Pullen, their product, Lady Boss, 95% of their audience is accessing their content on their phones. They're signing up on their phones. They're watching the Facebook on their phones. That's how they drive their traffic. They're using mobile devices. They're focused almost entirely on mobile traffic. And so they need to make sure that their content is delivered in a mobile friendly way. Now they use a tool called GoodBarber that actually has a mobile app, and they don't use ClickFunnels members areas, but you could do something similar with a ClickFunnels members area that gives them the ability to, with some custom code and some custom CSS and some custom buttons and stuff like this, and we'll go through more of the custom CSS and custom code stuff in coming modules. But you can use that stuff to actually make your mobiles area, your membership area much more mobile friendly if a large percentage of your traffic is going to be coming in via mobile devices. And so that's something important to keep in mind. So that pretty much covers the setup of your membership areas. There's a lot more that we can do, and we'll get more into it with the custom CSS and the custom JavaScript, but I wanted to run through today. Oh, one other thing that we wanted to look at was, while I'm thinking is our members list here. Remember we talked about that completion percentage. So we can see here that our completion percentage is set to 50%. And that's because we've accessed the video, lesson 1 And we didn't have a requirement on lesson 1. So if they were on that lesson at all, then that's going to be marked as complete. And then lesson 2, we did have a requirement to be on that lesson for at least a minute before it would be marked as complete. And so we haven't been on that membership area for at least a minute. This one actually, are we on it now? By the time we get done talking about this, we'll probably have been on it for at least a minute. And so we could probably refresh this and see that listed as 100% complete. So that's where that completion percentage comes in. The other thing that we'll see here is if I unhide that navigation element, if I scroll and unhide this, and then I save, and now if I refresh this page, now it's going to stop my counter and I'll probably lose my completion percentage. But now if I scroll down and I look at this, then actually it's not showing my flags here, but what you'll see is a little checkbox next to these when they are actually marked as complete. And so that's what that completion means. It's possible I've got some custom CSS in to turn that off. I personally don't like seeing the little check marks in the navigation. It can be great for the customer, and you can actually use it for doing things like I actually just built out a custom, in fact, if we log into the CF Code Lab members area, and if I get logged in here, we can see up at the top here, we have a little progress bar at the top, and this progress bar is actually dynamically updating based on how many of these pages I've landed on and reached my required time. I don't have any required time set up for these lessons, but how many of these lessons have I actually landed on and set the required time, that's where this progress bar comes up. It's actually, so when you log into the CF Code Lab area, you might notice your progress bars at a different spot. And so as you complete different lessons, then that progress bar will show up differently. So I kind of custom coded that on a request the other day, and I added in here as I was doing it as a test. And so that's how we can actually use those flags. If we were to actually look at and inspect these things. So if I right click and inspect on this must do, actually let's just inspect the element. So it's going to pull up my inspector here. And if I expand this out a little bit, then what we have here is underneath that element, I have this little pull right, and I have this FA check. I have these hidden with some custom CSS. If I turn this off, you'll notice we get these check marks next to the ones that have been completed. So we can see I've completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 9 of these lessons that are available. So I completed 7 out of 9, and that means that my progress bar, and we'll close the inspector here, my progress bar is at whatever percentage that is. So that's at 78% roughly. And if I actually inspect this element, my progress bar, and that's my progress bar here. And so we can see, and I should have an element inside of here, and I think it's this element right here. It's set to a 66.667%. So it's not quite calculating, yeah, the width is set to 66 points. I think I've done some math adjustments on this one, but if I were to change this to, in fact, we can't really see it here. Let me move this to a different spot. Do this down at the bottom so we can see the progress bar. So now if I change this width to 75%, oh, I need to say 75%, then it changes that. If I do 90%, then it changes that. So that's how that's working. It's actually updating that based on the completed sections or completed lessons within that. So yeah, so that's what's got going on there. Aaron asks, if you're drip delaying every lesson so they get 1 lesson per day, do you enter a 1 in that section for each lesson you create? No, you enter it based on the days from the time they opted in. So day 1, if you want, If you want day 1 to be available immediately, you don't put a drip on that one at all. If you want day 2 to come in after on the second day, then day 2 would have a drip of 1, and day 3 would have a drip of 2, and day 4 would have a drip of 3. So kind of think of it like that. So you have to add in how many days do you want to delay. And that's usually what you would got, unless you have like an intro, hey, welcome to the area. Here's what you're going to get starting tomorrow. But yeah, you would probably always want to have at least one lesson that has no drip. And then each lesson after that, you would add one to it. Cool. Any other questions I can answer while we're on? Because I think we went through pretty much everything that I wanted to make sure that we covered today. So we covered the big things, which were looking at setting up your content, the tag restrictions, product restrictions, setting up a few of the custom pieces that make it much simpler for your customers to actually go through your content, and some of the different design things that you can do based on that, and attaching to products and being able to use products to control that access, and how to set up products and subscription products and all that stuff. And yes, and so Dan says it's not from the date of opt-in in your funnel, but the date they register for the members area. Absolutely correct. Yeah, so it's when they sign up and actually create their account in the members area. So it's not from the date that they purchased, it's from the date they create their members area account. And so that's an important thing to note. And so that's why, and you'll want to be sure and cover that when they purchase the product on the thank you video. Is like, hey, you need to sign in right now to get access to this content. It's going to drip out over days, so we need you to get in and get access to the content right away. So that's how that's going to work.